Good Wednesday morning, friends. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Taylor Tucker in for Andrew Douglas. We have so many great interviews lined up for you today on the Digital Desk. Let me just brief you on what you can expect. We're speaking with our friends at the Memphis Botanic Garden about some great events happening on Saturday for multiple Saturdays this month, kicking off April 12th. Presented by Janet Missner. Of course, this is going to be the Troll Stroll. So some great things happening at the Memphis Botanic Garden. They're going to tell you all about it. That interview kicks off at 9:30. We're also chatting with our friends at the I Love Memphis blog. They're telling us about so many great festivals happening this month, and they're food festivals. Who doesn't love that, right? And there are over 5, 6, 7, I can't even count here, several festivals to check out throughout the month of April. They're going to tell you about that. So if you like barbecue, wings, tacos, a little something for everyone. And on a serious note, we're speaking with some health officials about new treatments, approved treatments, that is, for lung cancer patients. So we have a lot to discuss in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. So we hope you stick around with us throughout the morning. Again, we're kicking it off right now at 7:01 and we go into 11. So a lot of time to cover so much. I want to take you outside this morning, a live look at your Enbridge, 72 degrees outside. If you were with us throughout the morning from 4:30 to 7, you know the big story of the day. It's the weather. Today's a first alert weather day. Severe weather not only today, but for the next few days. Patrick Ellis has been briefing us on that. And of course, you'll hear from him at the top of the 8 o'clock hour on what you can expect. But I want to take you to our webpage this morning because Mid-South emergency personnel, they are prepping ahead of severe weather. That's been another top story this morning. We talked to several. We talked to the Tipton County Emergency Management Agency, and they shared with us, they said this, quote, "We roundtabled every agency's plans, assets, and capabilities in relation to the upcoming events. We have also made a push through social media channels to spread the word about Code Red and encourage households to make preparations in advance." And if you're wondering what Code Red is, that is a high-speed notification system that alerts residents via text, email, and social media. We also spoke to EMA out of DeSoto County as well. You can find all of that information right here on our Action News 5 website. All of our top stories go on that web. We update it very frequently as well. Another top story, you know the Grizzlies. We're always talking about the Grizzlies. Did you watch that game last night? Well, they competed against the Warriors. It didn't end in our favor. We lost 134 to 125. Ja Morant did what Ja Morant always does. He scored. He put up a lot of points there. He was on the board. Zach Edey on the board as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. A lot of team effort, but we just couldn't stop Steph Curry. Guys, he had 52 points. I mean, Doc Holliday was all over that covering it. So that's just one of the many top stories we're following this morning. We'll bring you those stories throughout the morning on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. So we look forward to you joining us here. Again, we go until 11 o'clock. Remember, your first alert weather update is coming up at the top of the 8 a.m. hour. And we're just going to keep this thing moving and grooving, keeping you up to date. We had a lot of great interviews yesterday. We're going to run those back for you in the next 60 seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Not too early in the morning to talk about barbecue, right? Well, if you're in the mood for it, let's talk about it. So much to look forward to leading up to this summer, May 15th through the 17th, a big festival coming in town. I'm talking about the Smoke Slam, the world's ultimate barbecue showdown. And here joining me this morning, my friends, Patrick Galfin, Director of Teams in Competition, and Mike Smith, Head of Production. Patrick, let me just start with you because I've been practicing this last name. What is your last name? Did I get that correctly?
It's golfing, but yeah, close enough.
Golfing. Okay, got it, got it. Well, Patrick and Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. Let's just jump right into it. This is the second year for the Smoke Slam. What are we thinking? What are we looking forward to this year?
We're super excited to be hosting this event again. We had a great time last year. We've expanded our team count this year. I'll let Patrick talk about that a little bit. But a lot of the same elements that we had last year are coming back, but some of it's going to be even bigger and better.
I like that. I like that. So I'm just reading about the big competition, and I know we have 75 teams competing. How do we assemble all of these teams to come and participate?
With over 70 teams going to be there, we've really taken the time to look at how we can load these teams in the park, how they best will fit, to make it a great experience for all the teams. Again, that's more teams than we had last year, so we've been really excited to see that increase, and just excited about having all these people down back on the river again with us for year 2 of Smoke Slam. Teams are excited. I'm really building the culture around a team-first approach to being down on the river.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's just we're seeing this competition just continue to grow. Last year, I know we have about 70 teams this year. How many teams did we have last year?
We had just under 60 teams last year.
Wow. Okay. So I love to see how this is continuing to grow over the years. Let's talk about how this is just an event for the entire family to come. Not only can you just get a lot of great barbecue, but it also music, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We hope this is a huge family-friendly event. The music is great each day. It's a little different, kind of curated to attract different audiences each day. But it's a lot of family fun stuff with the Ferris wheel, the carnival rides. We've got great music talent this year. Thursday, we've got Shane Smith and the Saints, big up and coming country artist. You've probably seen him on Yellowstone and heard his music on Yellowstone. Friday night, we've got the Revivalist with local greats Southern Avenue and the MDs and John B. And Saturday, big country act, Big and Rich, along with some local acts, Neon Mooners and Serena Wages. So a lot of good music, a lot of stuff to do. Everyone that comes gets to eat barbecue for free, part of our live fire event. Some of the best pit masters in the world are preparing food that everyone gets to try as you go through the park. And just, a little bit of something for everybody. Again, the fun, the games, lots of activities for everyone.
Sounds like a perfect way to spend your summer. I know you said we have a lot of big names. Can you mention some of the barbecue legends who will be participating this year? And Patrick or Mike, either of you can jump on this question.
So in the live fire area, we've got some famous pitmasters like Al Fragoni, Thyron Matthews will be in there. Some of those guys. Then we've got some great local teams like our last year's grand champion is coming back, Smoke Masters. We have Tin Bones Barbecue. Then just a lot of other great teams from all over the country. I think we have teams coming in from 17 different states and 2 different countries. So we've got teams literally traveling from all over to come and compete with us and be down on the river and really experience the culture that we're building around Smoke Slam.
They are certainly coming to the right spot then for that. So let's get people there. Let's talk about tickets. Where can they go to purchase tickets? And I know this is a 3-day event, but kind of talk about for those who just want to get a single day ticket. Where do they go and how do they purchase it?
Yeah, you can go to smokeslam.com and follow the path to purchase tickets. There are 3-day tickets, which have a greater discount if you purchase the 3-day ticket than the single-day ticket, but you can purchase single-day tickets as well. There's also VIP tickets for purchase, which get you an escalated experience in the VIP areas, which would include private restrooms, private bars, things like that. So smokeslam.com has all the info you need to get you there.
smokeslam.com. Writing that down now. Patrick and Mike, was there anything else that you wanted to add that I did not ask you today?
I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention Melissa Cookston, our great barbecue host of the whole event. She's been amazing to work with, and we really appreciate her being part of our team and helping push this event to even greater levels.
All righty, sounds good. Well, Patrick and Mike, thanks so much for stopping by the Action News 5 digital desk. We look forward to seeing you in person in May at the Smoke Slam. I'll see you guys. Down on the Action News 5 digital desk. You know what time it is. We're bringing in our friend Dr. Talisa Franklin, keeping us in the know about all the great things happening in the 901. And I believe this is our first time interacting, so I'm very excited about this interview. Good morning to you.
Great morning to you, Taylor. It's great to be with you on this morning.
Oh, look at you bringing in the energy. I love it. Let's just jump right into it because we have a lot to discuss this morning. Let's start with the luncheon that's happening. Well, today, I believe. Why don't you tell me more about it?
Absolutely. Each and every week, Commissioner Charlie Caswell, I say he's always has his finger on the pulse of the community. And on today, we are having our weekly stakeholders luncheon, and I'll be a speaker as well as my dear friend Stephen Ogilvie with SCORE Health, where we're really working together to eliminate HIV in our communities. And so definitely want to get there and get all that great information that is needed so that we can move our community each and every week. If you're in District 6 or anywhere in the community, you can best believe that Commissioner Charlie Caswell always has his meetings and is always informative for our community. So definitely get out today. 11:45 lunch is provided. It costs you absolutely nothing but your time to come out and enjoy lunch and enjoy great information, Taylor. It's going to be a great time, I must say.
I love that. So free lunch and it's informative. You just can't beat that. That just sounds like a win. That's something to check out. Well, it's a busy day because a little later today at 1:30, got some exciting news happening out of Frazier. Why don't you tell us about that?
Absolutely. It's finally, y'all. We are groundbreaking for the new Frazier High School. Want to send some special love out to Commissioner Stephanie Love that has never stopped working, and now we'll have the new Frazier Community High School. And so we're grateful about the groundbreaking. It's happening at 1:30. If you want to be a part of this amazing occasion, come out today. On Dalewood you'll see all the cars, you'll see all the fanfare, and let's celebrate the groundbreaking ceremony of the new Frazier Community High School. I'm super excited. It starts at 1:30, y'all. So let's make sure we get there. So you know what you really can do? You can just spend your whole afternoon with us. We're going to be at Commissioner Caswell District 6 meeting. We're going to jump in our cars and run over to...
We can just carpool. We can just carpool and do that. How about that?
Yes, but Commissioner Caswell said he'll never ride with me because I drive slow. So he didn't want to ride with Miss Daisy. So he going to drive himself, and Miss Daisy, Talisa, going to drive herself.
I think you drive slow to see those nice little billboards as you're passing through on the highway. I get what you're doing. I know. Well, we got to get through this week, and we're all just kind of like eyeing Friday. That's exciting, eyeing the weekend as well. But Friday, we have a family game night. Is that so? Did I hear that correctly?
It's Light at Night. It's a vision of Pastor Leon Jones. This is an initiative, Taylor, that is truly changing lives, right? Because he makes sure he's opened up his gym. It's called Light at Night. It starts at 9 o'clock at night, where men and boys are able to play basketball and get the wraparound services that they desire, whether they need jobs, whether they need food, whether they need Pampers, whatever the things that they need. There are wraparound partners that is there on the Friday night. You know, a lot of times people say a lot of our young men get in trouble on Friday night. Well, the vision of Pastor Leon Jones, he's making sure that our young boys are not getting in trouble. Our young men are not doing things they don't need to do. They're coming out to playing basketball, building community together, and also getting those wraparound services so that they can be the better man that we know that they should be. And so each and every Friday night, y'all, everybody's invited to at 9 o'clock to midnight to play basketball in a safe, nurturing, healthy environment. And it's also wraparound services happening at the Dwelling Place on Old Austin P Highway.
Oh, you can't beat that. I love that. And I know the guys will like that. You know, they love a good game of basketball, but you can get basketball, a community, and just, you know, all of this information. It's a win-win. Whether you win the basketball game or not, it's a totally a win. So there's some great things we're chatting about today. For those who want to learn more, is there anywhere they can go online to just kind of stay abreast with all the great things happening in the 901?
Absolutely. They can just go straight to any of my social media web pages, or you can go to my website, or make sure you subscribe to all things Dr. Talisa Franklin, because I want to keep you abreast of all things positive in our great city.
I love to hear that. Dr. Talisa Franklin keeping us in the know. It's so good to finally interact with you. I'm looking forward to chatting again. I know Andrew hates he missed this interview, but I'll send him your well wishes. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Dr. Talisa Franklin, before I let you go?
Just know that it's no fool, baby. It's no April Fool. I truly love Memphis, and that's a fact.
Hey, that's the perfect thing to hear on this April 1st. Thanks so much for stopping by the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Here for us to have this chat. So what do you have for us? I know there are at least 25 women you could probably talk about right now, right?
Absolutely, Taylor. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it was really important to us too over at the Commercial Appeal to highlight women. I saw a lot of the packages that you all were doing over there. There's so many women who contribute to our food scene here in Memphis. And you're right, for 2025, we did honor 25 of them. And some of these women are chefs, some are restaurateurs, others are caterers. We've got a few who feed our communities. So Robin Joyce was one of those ladies who we were able to highlight. She owns and runs By the Brewery down on Tennessee Street, just on the other side of the river. Honey, if you want a great homemade biscuit, Robin Joyce is the one. Oh, congratulations to her. She's a brand new grandmother. We also wanted to make sure that we could honor Brianna Boyd. She runs Feedwells, which is one of the coolest companies I found because, you know, Feedwells feeds our kids at public and private schools. So I find that very interesting because you always think of that as being a really large company, and in many cases it is. But right here in Memphis, we have a local woman who is dedicating herself to that, and that's Brianna on your screen right now. We also spoke to Kim Daly. I had not met Kim. I don't know if you know, Taylor, but I'm still pretty new to Memphis. I've been here for about 6 months now. And Kim Daly runs City Hall Cheesecake. And the mission behind her success is the reason for her success. She met someone who was down on their luck, and they were able to find all the resources they needed, housing and food, but nobody would hire this person. So Kim Daly said it was her mission to provide employment for people who are often forgotten. So we talked to her, and then Melissa Cookston is one of my favorite barbecue judges. She also works with the World Junior League Barbecue Championship. That's her baby down there in Mississippi. But her judging skills on any Netflix barbecue competition is just the bee's knees for me. So we were able to talk to 25 ladies. That story is up on Commercial Appeal's website. And I know that we'll be linking to it with the Digital Desk post too. Check it out. And if you don't know these ladies and their work, if you get a moment to pop around town to places like the Four Way or Black Seeds Urban Farms or to Biscuits and Jams with Chef Mo, they are all worth checking out.
You got one of the best jobs there. I don't know if you can see it, but we have several of those ladies' pictures coming across the screen right now, and I saw so many familiar faces. Just when you were communicating with some of these ladies, I know many of them from Memphis or have lived in Memphis for quite some time now. Were there any similarities that you noticed that some of these women shared in common, or was it all just kind of like the love for, you know, the food scene here in Memphis?
You know, I asked everybody the same question. I asked each woman if she'd be willing to share a poignant piece of business advice she received from another woman. And there are some common threads in that. Several people were told, you know, get it in writing. If it's not in writing, it's not real.
Yeah.
And there was a common thread about authenticity. And a lot of women were being told to not compromise who they are for the sake of success. And from the outside looking in, I would call each of these women successful. And two women actually received different advice, but they received advice from the same woman. The owner of Bubble Bistro reached out to a couple of my ladies and just helped to encourage them. So that showed me that the Memphis ecosystem is so supportive of one another. Like, these ladies are out here making sure that they are all rising together, and I love to see that.
Oh, I love to hear that. Women supporting women. It's enough room for us all to win. Well, I don't know if you're a sports fan. Everyone is following March Madness. I'm interested to see how your March Madness went with this pizza bracket. Tell me about that. How's that going?
So much controversy on this pizza bracket, Taylor, but it's
I
fun.
bet.
It's fun because you're absolutely right. I do have probably one of the best jobs that one could have in this city. So my best friend and I lovingly refer to this and all sporting seasons as sportsketball. So whether you follow NCAA or not, we do have a pizza bracket at the Commercial Appeal because we're trying to figure out who's got the best pizza in the city. So now we are down to our Elite 8. And I have to say, I've gotten lots and lots of mails. I want to take the time to acknowledge it about Little Betty. And I'm sorry, about Little Italy. And in my defense, Memphis, I had not tried Little Italy yet when we began this pizza bracket journey. It is indeed good, but they are not on the bracket. But we do have people who are still around, like Little Betty and Aldo's Pizza. And voting for that goes through noon on Thursday. And on Friday, we'll be revealing our final four in the Memphis pizza bracket.
Oh, I am looking forward to that. That's going to be interesting. That's definitely going to start up a conversation. Speaking of conversation, this has been so great to dive in with you and talk about so many of the great restaurants and the people and the owners here in the Mid-South. So before I let you go, this is a conversation we could talk about all day long, but we got to get people to the website. Where can they go, or can they go anywhere to check out some additional information? Or if they want to go through and look at that list again of those 25 ladies, where can they go to check that out?
Absolutely, several places. So if you are on Instagram, which is typically where I live, we're at Memphis News. Always online at commercialappeal.com/food if you're trying to get straight to my content. And we do have a fun foodie Facebook group. It's called Let's Eat Memphis. And we always talk about the good things that are happening in kitchens around the city there.
All right, that's Ellen Chamberlain with the Commercial Appeal. She's the new food and dining reporter. I know you say you've only been here in Memphis for about 6 months, so welcome. A lot of great eats around here, so we're looking forward to continuing this conversation in the future. So thanks again for stopping by the Digital Desk. We'll see you soon, okay? Action News 5 Digital Desk to talk about an exciting
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Colorectal cancer is starting to be reported in people that are younger and younger. It's one of the most preventable cancers if it's caught early. On the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I am joined now by Dr. Paul Johnson with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to talk about the issue of colorectal cancer, colonoscopies, signs and symptoms, warning signs, that sort of thing. Dr. Johnson, how are you? Good morning.
Good. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for helping me to kick off the Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, which is March. And I see you in your blue suit and I appreciate it. And we're wearing blue this month to make sure that people know that it's important to get out and get their colorectal screening.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Johnson. Why are younger people getting diagnosed with colorectal cancer earlier and earlier? I remember a long time ago, it was like, okay, 50, you need to get a colonoscopy. Then it was 45, and then I'm hearing cases where people are getting colorectal cancer diagnoses before 45. What's going on?
It is absolutely a trend that we're starting to see. Since around 2011, we've seen a steady increase in young onset colorectal cancer, and it's been increasing in about a 2% rate. And the question of why it's happening, I wish we knew exactly why it was happening. What we believe at this point is going to be related to environmental factors. We know there's not a strong genetic disposition, so we think it might be related to what we eat, the food that we consume, our gut microbiome, which is the different bacteria that we have in our colon, and how that might have interplay with inflammation within the colon lining.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think enough is being talked about right now about our gut microbiome and how it is so related to our health, our immunity, everything. So thank you for bringing that up. Let's talk about maybe some of the signs, the symptoms, the warning signs of colorectal cancer?
Absolutely. So I want everyone under the sound of my voice to not focus on the signs and symptoms of colorectal cancer, because by the time you have them, it will probably be a later stage. So you want to focus on getting your screening so that you can prevent disease. Colorectal cancer is uh, treatable and it's beatable, but it's also preventable. So if you do have signs and symptoms, like I said, it's usually in a later diagnosis. And some of those signs and symptoms include bleeding, bloating, abdominal pain, what we call tenesmus, which might be some pain or discomfort in the lower rectal area, as well as weight loss, night sweats, and fevers.
Let's talk about colonoscopies because, as I mentioned off the top, it used to be at 50, then it was 45. Are things moving, continually moving backwards earlier and earlier?
Currently, our screening guidelines are set at 45, and for the most part, we will catch most people at with the age set at 45. Again, we want to emphasize it's only for those of average risk adults. So if you have a family history of colon cancer, your year will be actually age 40. So you want to speak to your primary care physician to determine your individual risk and make sure that you're getting your timely age-based approach, age-based screening.
How about some preventative tips, Dr. Johnson? I mean, you mentioned our diet is certainly a big factor and our gut microbiome. What can we do to enhance some of those preventative measures out there?
Just like every other cancer and every the song that your primary care I'm sure has been singing to you, everything in moderation. So it's important to not have a diet that's heavy in processed meats. You don't want to have excessive alcohol consumption, and you want to have a diet that's high in fiber. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a young man who came to me who just emigrated from Asia, and within 6 months of being in this country, he's had hemorrhoids that he's never had. And it was simply the change in diet, the lack of fiber that he's experienced since emigrating to this country. We have a diet that's very heavy in meats, especially red meats. And so we want to make sure that Americans who are chronically under the recommended guidelines for the daily amount of fiber are increasing your fiber intake, making sure you eat those fruits and vegetables with skin and roughage to make sure that you have maintain a healthy gut microbiome as well as enough roughage.
Anything else you want to mention regarding this topic that you haven't mentioned yet?
I want to. Memphis is a largest Black majority city in the United States. So I would be remiss to not mention the link between or the facts surrounding colorectal cancer in the African American community. What we do know is that African Americans are diagnosed at 20% higher than our counterparts as well, and we die at the disease at a 40% higher likelihood. So we want to make sure that to the African American community, please, any embarrassment, stigmas, or anything surrounding colonoscopy, put that to the side and get your screening if you're age over 45 today.
Dr. Paul Johnson with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare talking about colorectal cancer screenings and the warning signs and what we can do to prevent it. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. I want to show you this. This is something that's coming up on Tuesday, April 8th. It is a mental health breakfast, and this is part of the Living Well Network with Methodist Le Bonheur, and this is happening at the Hilton Memphis with Tom Voss coming as the guest speaker. He's a U.S. Army veteran. He's going to be talking about his own journey dealing with mental health. I'm joined on the Action News 5 digital desk by Allison White Stewart. She is here, and welcome back, Allison. I haven't seen you in a while, and would love to hear more about the Living Well Network and the kind of services that this program is going to offer for people. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. So the Living Well Network is a community-based service. We're free to our community, and we help people connect with behavioral health services. So anybody can call us, and we will do a quick assessment over the phone and then connect that person with the right behavioral health provider. We also do free mental health presentations and education throughout our community, whether that's churches, schools, civic groups, you name it, we will do it. So our breakfast, like you said, is April the 8th at the Hilton, and it is going to be a great morning. We are going to have Tom Voss, as you spoke of, and then Dr. David Rudd, who is also going to be a breakout speaker for us. So it's going to be a great morning.
It sounds like it. Again, I'm showing everybody the flyer there, the mental health breakfast. And this year's focus is on veteran mental health. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So, Andrew, 58%, veterans are 58% more likely to die by suicide than those who haven't served. It's the second leading cause of death for veterans under the age of 45. So it is a huge issue in the veteran community, and we are just wanting to put a spotlight on it and talk about ways that we can help our veterans with mental health services or just support. And so, again, it's very important. Lots of veterans really struggle when they come back from their service, integrating back into civilian life. And so we just really want to highlight the issues that our veterans are facing.
So let me ask you this, Allison, who should come to this event? Is it just veterans, or is it open to other people as well?
It's open to everyone. We'll have mental health professionals there. We'll have business leaders there. We'll have just community members there, veterans, law enforcement, first responders. It really is a morning where there's such a variety of people in the room. So really anyone can come.
That's fantastic. I know that since we've come out of the pandemic, it appears that there's more focus and more emphasis on mental health. Does it appear to be helping the issue at all, to kind of talk about it more freely and openly?
Absolutely. You know, the younger generation, especially the kids now, with all the social media and TikTok and Snapchat, they're really more open and apt to talk about mental health issues. And I think that that's great. And that's really going to decrease stigma. So that's really important. But again, Andrew, the more we talk about mental health, the more that we destigmatize it and make it a thing that, just like diabetes or high blood pressure, that we're openly talking about it and we're okay to talk about it.
Okay, once again, want to show everybody this. This is the flyer. It's Tuesday. It's April 8th. It's at the Hilton Memphis. It's a breakfast, so it starts at 8 o'clock. And then you have the program beginning at 8:30, a breakout session at 9:30. Anything else we can touch on, Allison, before we let you go?
Just again, it's going to be a great morning. Tom Voss is a fantastic speaker. He is going to talk about how he struggled with mental health issues, PTSD, when he returned from combat. He actually has a documentary out. He and another Army veteran walked all the way from Milwaukee to Los Angeles in support of veterans and highlighting mental health issues with veterans. And he likes to call himself the mindful veteran. And so he has utilized mindfulness and meditation as part of his recovery with mental health issues. And he is going to actually be doing a mindful exercise with the audience at the breakfast. So we're really excited about that. And of
That's
course,
fantastic.
Dr. Rudd, who is great. He's a Memphis legend. He is an international researcher and speaker on veterans and veteran suicide. So it's going to be a great morning.
It sounds like it, Allison. Thank you for coming on the Digital Desk. Allison White Stewart with Living Well Network and Methodist Le Bonheur, talking about the mental health breakfast, April 8th, Hilton, Memphis. We appreciate your time and best of luck on a great event. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Did you know Memphis is home to the #1 light beer in America? Absolutely. In fact, we're talking about Skydog, made by Wiseacre, just took home the top honors at this year's Great American Beer Festival. Amazing stuff. And the brothers who started Wiseacre are joining me on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm proud to be joined by David and Kellen Bartosh on the Digital Desk. Gentlemen, it's great to meet you. How are things? Congratulations on the honor. What's going on?
Thanks a lot. We're thrilled. I mean, you know, when my brother started making beer, he told his first boss, "I want to make the best beer in the world." So we got the best in the country with this light lager. So we're thrilled.
I've known your guys' story for a long time. In fact, I tell people all the time about your story, how you guys had this great idea to open a brewery in Memphis, and then you went your separate ways and came back. Can you tell our audience about that story? I think it's one of the best American stories out there right now.
Yeah, we went out kind of all over the country. I went to brewing school in Chicago, and then I went to brewing school in Germany. Kellen was out working in the western part of the U.S. for Sierra Nevada, and the plan was always to come back home to open a brewery here. But we were, you know, we had a long plan to get to where we were going, and a lot of the brewing school that I went to, the German school, was really about making lagers. And it was exactly what this beer is that we produce.
And correct me if I'm wrong, so you learned how to brew really good German beer in Germany, and then Kellen, you went to Sierra Nevada to learn kind of the business side. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I was on the business side, worked for a beer distributor first, and so every industry has its own language and set of rules, and I went and learned those as best I could before we came back home to Memphis, and we're able to tap into the wonderful water here, the soft water, which is great for making lagers.
Tell me how Memphis water, because, you know, all of us Memphians, you know, we're so proud of the artesian wells, and we're so proud of our tap water being #1. Tell us how Memphis water helps you guys.
So the mineral content of our water, allow me to put my nerd glasses on real quick, but the mineral content of our water is extremely low. So that allows us to make really very clean, crisp lagers and things that you can drink a lot of. And especially when you're making beers that are like this, they're 99 calories and 4% alcohol, so a little bit lower in alcohol and definitely quite a bit lower in calories. It really makes the ingredients stand out in a really nice way. They don't get muddy.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. I remember you guys had high honors with Tiny Bomb when that came out a number of years ago. One of your first big ones that just went everywhere. And I can't remember where I was listening to you guys, but you were describing Tiny Bomb and how you partnered with a honey farm in Mississippi to take away some of that bitter taste to make it an American lager. I just love that story. With Skydog, people can buy that in stores and they can see it on tap elsewhere, right?
Correct. Yeah, Skydog, Wiseacre for one, we're in 22 states. Tiny Bomb is our best-selling beer. Skydog, we're really trying to focus way more on our biggest, most important market of Memphis, where we think it can become people's light beer. So you can see behind me, we got 12 packs, we have 6 packs, and they are available in Kroger. It's available on draft. It's also priced lower than craft beer, so it's more in that kind of premium import price range. And we think this is the best time people could give this a try to become their kind of everyday beer, their garage beer, their shower beer, their dinner beer, any kind of beer.
Anything else you want to mention to your fans out there? I know that there's a number of people that enjoy Wiseacre and all of its flavors. I know that there's some people wondering if you'll have a gluten-free beer coming out.
I would say come see us at our tap rooms. We're at downtown at 398 South BB King. We've got pizza that was just featured on the Food Network. This Saturday, we're going to be the official pregame location for the Grizzlies-Lakers game. We've got a ticket giveaway for the Lakers game. We're going to give away samples of Skydog. We want people to try this beer and see what the gold medal is all about. We talked about the water earlier, how important that is to our beer. If you have great ingredients, it doesn't mean you get great food when you cook. So I would just give my brother and a production team just the biggest round of applause for all the great work that they do in making amazing beer.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. Once again, congratulations on all of your success this year and for the past several years, making all of us Memphians and Mid-Southerners proud. We appreciate it. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Nearly 80% of working Americans say they deal with a complicated person, perhaps a difficult person at work, and almost half say that they would take a lower paying job just to not work with some of these people. So what's the best way to work with so-called complicated people, and how can we turn that into a positive for us? There's actually someone who's written a book about all of that. I'm happy to be joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Ryan Leak. He is a leadership coach and a best-selling author joining us on the Digital Desk. Ryan, good morning to you. When you say complicated, do you mean difficult? And what is this superpower of working with difficult or complicated people? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Andrew. What a great question. When we actually did a national research study on this subject, and we asked all of our participants, hey, how would you define complicated? And one person wrote Leslie. I said, Leslie? Who's Leslie? What happened? Another person wrote Nate. They said, yeah, Nate is the personification of complicated. So what we learned is that complicated is in the eye of the beholder. In other words, somebody that's complicated to you, Andrew, may be simple to me, and somebody that may be complicated to me might be simple to you. And so what we have to realize is that we are all somebody's Leslie, and we're all somebody's Nate. And when somebody is asked, how would you define complicated, perhaps somebody is also saying Ryan Leak. And so when we start there, that's a great posture to have, to say, all right, we're all getting in this complicated boat together. And if we can learn to move towards these people, we're going to actually have a much higher level of having a job satisfaction.
I gotcha. And I can attest. I mean, there's probably everybody out there, including myself, who might pick one person in an office setting that says, yeah, if I had my my druthers, I'd rather not deal with that one person. So how do we turn that around to make it a superpower for us to say, you know what, I can deal with anybody, including that complicated or difficult person, Ryan?
Yeah, because, I think all of us want a stress-free life, a stress-free work environment with stress-free people that bring us our coffee just the way that we like it. But even if that environment existed, it wouldn't be an environment where we grow. You see, anybody can thrive when they're surrounded by like-minded, supportive colleagues that share their same communication style and work ethic. But that ability to sit across from, collaborate with, and work with individuals who are wired completely different than us, that challenge our assumptions. When we're face to face with those people and we can collaborate with those people, that's a superpower. That makes you indispensable. That allows you to go to your organization and say, hey, put me on any team and I'm going to be the kind of person that doesn't judge people, that doesn't make assumptions about people. I'm actually going to move towards these people that perhaps are sometimes difficult. And I've learned in our research that when we move towards people that we deem complicated, they become less complicated because we begin to understand their behind the scenes. I've learned that complicated people have it complicated behind the scenes. And when we learn that behind the scenes, we often give them more grace.
So what would be some real tangible steps, or a first couple of steps, Ryan, to go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to work with this person no matter what, and I'm going to make it work? How do we start that?
Less assumptions, more questions. You want to be the kind of person that has a posture of curiosity. Hey, what's it like to be you? Yeah, what does it cost to be you? Like for you to have this show, for you to have your life, like there's some cost behind it, there's some sacrifice behind it, but you're instantly putting yourself in the posture of curiosity. You're learning more about why they are the way that they are. You're not trying to change them to do something a different way or to become more like you. You're actually saying, no, I want to understand why you have the pace that you have, why you have the personality that you have, why you have the preferences that you have. And when you have that posture of curiosity, you actually are building a bridge between you and that person.
Tell me why you wrote this book, Ryan, and who do you think it's for?
I wrote this book because what we learned in our research is that people can pull off really difficult jobs when they're working with people that they enjoy doing the job with over a dream job with people they tolerate. And so job satisfaction has very little to do with the job description as much as it is the people they're actually doing that job with. And so if we can solve some of these people problems, if we can learn to work with complicated people, we can actually boost job satisfaction wherever we work. And so where you work does not have to determine how you work. So this book is for anybody that has ever sat across from somebody that they just thought, man, you know what? They're just a little complicated. They're a little bit difficult, which is just about everybody.
Anything else before we let you go, Ryan, about the book, the topic, how to become a superpower when it comes to these type of office situations?
Absolutely. I think each and every person has an opportunity today to decide the kind of colleague that they want to be. Some people woke up today and thought, well, I just am who I am. Yes, but you actually can choose to have a different future if you want to. You can choose to have a growing future if you want to. Some people live by accident. I encourage each and every person today to be one of those intentional coworkers that says, you know what, I actually want to make my place of business the type of place that people look forward to showing up to, and I get to contribute to that. So people can get their copy of How to Work with Complicated People on Amazon or wherever books are sold, and they also can get other leadership resources at ryanleak.com.
Okay, Ryan Leak joining us on the digital desk, just released his book, How to Work with Complicated People. We appreciate your time. Thanks for the tips, and good luck with the book.
Appreciate it.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Endometriosis is a condition in which the tissue similar to the lining inside the uterus is found outside of the uterus. It can induce a chronic inflammatory reaction, can be very painful for women. In fact, about 1 in 10 women during their reproductive years have this kind of condition, and that's about 176 million women in the entire world. Let's talk about this condition more and what we can do about it with signs, symptoms, and treatment. I'm joined on the Action News 5 digital desk by Dr. Patrick Clayton, an OBGYN with St. Francis Hospital. Dr. Clayton, nice to have you back on the digital desk. So tell us about endometriosis. Good morning.
Good morning. So what you said is exactly correct. It's a condition where that tissue is found outside of the uterus, typically in the pelvis, on the pelvic sidewalls, on the abdominal walls, even on the bowels, which can lead to a range of symptoms from chronic pelvic pain to cyclic pelvic pain, infertility, and a host of other symptoms like nausea, even diarrhea, painful urination. And with those symptoms, can lead to a decrease in quality of life.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds terrible. And 1 in 10 women have it, it seems like, based upon the numbers I'm reading from. And what is a woman supposed to do if number one, they're diagnosed with it, and number two, the best treatments that are out there available?
So there are a range of treatments, and the first is to just talk to your doctor. It's not uncommon that women find that they think that their cycle pain is just normal, and for some women it can be, but for other women, when it gets to that point where it starts to interfere with your normal activities around the time of your cycle, or the chronic pelvic pain is so bad that you're not able to do your normal things, then that's when it's time to address it with your doctor, because there are treatments that can range from something like just starting on an NSAID regimen, even something like birth control pills or hormonal suppression can help decrease some of these symptoms. And then in severe cases, surgery may be warranted to help remove some of the endometrial implants, to address some of the scar tissue, and to help address the pain and other issues that are having that way.
So I understand there's no cure. Where does it come from? Is this a genetics kind of thing?
That can play a role. The whole origin of it is not completely understood. There's some thought that it may, during the menstrual cycle, some of the endometrial tissue goes out through the tubes and into the endometrial cavity, or I'm sorry, into the abdominal cavity, and implants that way. But those are just theories at this time.
Gotcha. And can you go through maybe some of the symptoms again for our audience, just so, perhaps you might be reaching someone that is wondering what's wrong with them, and they might not be familiar with this?
The classic symptoms would be increasing pain starting right before your cycle, or even a few days to a week before your cycle, chronic pain through your cycle, like cramping. Some patients will have diarrhea if the implants are on the bowel. Some patients will have pain with urination if those implants are on the bladder. And typically, as the cycle goes, then the pain improves for a period of time. Now, some patients do have chronic pelvic pain because endometriosis leads to chronic inflammation and scarring. Some patients can have infertility due to that inflammation and scarring.
Anything else we can touch on, doctor, when it comes to endometriosis, signs, symptoms, treatments? We have thousands of people that watch us here on the Digital Desk.
The biggest thing I would say is if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, I would address it with your doctor, because it's something that, while we don't have a cure for it currently, it can be treated, and hopefully can, with the goal of improving the quality of life, restoring regular cycles without as much pain, and potentially improving fertility for some patients.
Okay, Dr. Patrick Clayton with St. Francis Hospital. Appreciate the info, the knowledge here on the Digital Desk. I know it's helping a ton of people out there. Thank you so much for your time. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It's spring, and we think a lot about spring cleaning and really just kind of gearing up for the summer and being outdoors and all that comes with it. But sometimes we got to do a reality check about ourselves this spring and our wellness routine. Are we doing everything we can to be in tip-top shape, mentally, physically, and beyond? Let's bring in a couple people to help us with that. I'm joined now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by Samantha Pennington. She is a studio leader at Collierville Fitness Lifetime Fitness, in Collierville, and John Broadway, a personal training leader at Lifetime in Collierville. Good morning to you both. So when we talk about spring cleaning, your wellness routine, what do we mean exactly? Samantha, let's begin with you.
Yeah, so spring cleaning, the January hype has kind of almost gone away. And so we're regrouping before the summer, any goals that you might have. We're trying to make new ones that maybe are more reachable. And in our scenario for studio, we have group fitness classes, almost 100 classes per week that range from strength, yoga, cardio, bar, Pilates, cycling. So a lot of variety in those classes. And so I think for anyone that's looking for something to keep them accountable, our classes are #1 for that, as well as bringing in the community too. It's always better to work out with a buddy.
No question about it. John, in your personal business, John, where you're a personal fitness trainer and also a leader, where do you see people struggle the most when it comes to just kind of reevaluating that wellness routine in the spring?
Yeah, I want to think the biggest thing is, you start with this New Year's resolutions and, you're in your progress. You're, 3 months in now, you're evaluating, hey, if I hit my goals, am I continue to hit those goals? Like, where am I at currently? We need to take a good step back and say, am I progressing at this point? Because we're 3 months into the year, and now it's a good point to say, hey, am I maintaining at this point, or am I continually progressing? Whether that be, adding more weight to your workouts, maybe changing up your workout routine, maybe trying some different classes with Samantha. So it's changing up your workout really at this point and just saying, am I progressing or am I maintaining at this point?
A lot of times, people, are thinking about the routine. They're thinking about what kind of exercises, how to do this, is strength training or perhaps some cardio, but they don't think about nutrition. Samantha, where should we begin when it comes to nutrition?
So for me, I know that we have a 3-stack for our classes that are easier to comprehend. We all know we need electrolytes to stay hydrated, and we all need post-recovery. So whether that be protein intake or amino recovery, which we have behind us, I feel like if you start with those 3 foundational supplements, I think that we want to take it all, but we got to start simple, just like in our workouts. We want to make sure that we are, doing the right things for ourselves and for our type of bodies, which we all have different types of bodies. But I know John will probably like to add to a little bit for personal training, if there was any other supplements.
Yeah, I think for me, like creatine's a big one, especially if you're looking to, build muscle. It's a really good product to be able to maybe do one more rep, maybe run a little bit longer. It's a great supplement to add in, but creatine and protein are like my big ones. You definitely need that recovery, build bigger muscles, and maintain your muscles that you have.
Great advice on both fronts, both Samantha and John. Thank you. All right, so we figured out, the physical routine, what we're going to be doing, and the nutrition supplements that we can choose from. What about our mental health? Because that wellness routine, we got to think about the mental health aspects, right? Both of you, I'd love for both of you to weigh in.
Yeah. So for me, it's all about taking time, maybe 5 minutes out of the day, do some deep breathing exercises just to get your mind right before you get into the gym. There's a lot of things that go on through the day, whether it be our job, whether it be our family, at home. So many stresses in life. We just need to take a step back, do some deep breathing, get our mind back on track, and get ready for the day or get ready for our workout. So, breathing exercises, and then maybe taking some yoga classes, as Sam could probably talk about more.
Yeah, so we have about 25 yoga classes on the schedule, and they range from starting your day with some meditation or maybe some awesome power flow in a heated space. So you're starting off really strong in your morning, but maybe you need a lunch pick-me-up, and we have a really great meditation class called Surrender. Not only are you tapping into taking a step back from your stressful day, but also you're holding stretches for longer. So maybe if you work at a desk or, you're sitting all the time, it's a great way to get your body moving, and it doesn't take a lot. You're just sitting there and doing awesome stretches. But yeah, it's just taking a step back from your day and being able to reflect on, things you might have to do. And even journaling is great. Having a workout journal and being able to plan out when you can take a step back and just having a good plan for yourself.
I love it. Okay, final thoughts. I mean, we've covered a lot there. So final thoughts, I leave up to you guys. Anything else you want to mention? This has been great.
Yeah, I do want to plug in our nutrition is not, or our supplements are not only for lifetime members. They're available to you through Amazon and through our Lifetime Shop, where we highly recommend going through our Lifetime Shop, to where you can meet with myself or John. We have access codes to be able to get you a discount, but it's very clean work, and it's available to anybody and everybody.
Okay, great. Well, listen, Samantha and John, we really appreciate you coming on the digital desk, dropping some knowledge here on how to spring clean your wellness routine. Thanks so very much.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk here on a Wednesday morning. A very active couple of days expected across the Mid-South. As you know already, we've been giving you that first alert that there will be a couple of days here, kind of a gauntlet of storms that we will have to tangle with over the course of not one, not two, not even three, but 4 days across the Mid-South. And it starts later on today. Today is an odd day. This will be an interesting day for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to have the severe weather potential. Today, also a high risk for severe weather will unfold this afternoon and this evening. But then we'll transition into a flooding threat over the course of the evening and overnight period. And that could lead up to a high risk of flooding in about the same area that is going to be encompassed by the high risk. 84 today, a south breeze, 25 to 30 miles per hour sustained. Gusts will be higher than that. Look at the gusts here in the city of Memphis. Some spots will be over 50 miles per hour today, but again, gusts over 40 miles per hour for many hours this afternoon, especially ahead of the storm system. Then tonight, 64. Storms will be severe during the early evening hours, I think through at least midnight, but possibly through 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then a flood threat will emerge through the morning hours of your Thursday. 64, still that southwest wind, 20 to 25. Then tomorrow, 70, a high temperature, mostly cloudy. Flood threat will be the main thing to contend with throughout the morning hours, but then there's another risk for strong and severe storms through the afternoon hours. This is not a one-size-fits-all forecast either. Understand that if you live in West Tennessee and northeastern Arkansas, the impacts of flooding may be higher than in areas like northeastern Mississippi. I think in northeastern Mississippi, you get away almost scot-free with this, with the exception of a couple of storms today and more storms on Saturday. But the rest of the area, I think it's high time for all of us. You see the areas in white here, that's over 10 inches of rainfall possible through Sunday. And this is the gauntlet that I'm talking about. Extreme risk for afternoon storms that could be strong to severe, then lead into the flood threat. Flood threat continues through the morning hours on Thursday as the frontal boundary wavers near the I-40 corridor. Storms could flare up. Again, another impulse will come down that frontal boundary, and each time one of those impulses comes down the frontal boundary, it will perk up the severe weather potential. That may happen as we head towards your Thursday afternoon. So another round of strong storms possible through late Thursday. Friday, the front lifts northward, but not before it dumps a lot of rainfall overnight Thursday into early Friday morning. But at least the front does lift northward into northeastern Arkansas and southern Missouri. So we have a little bit of a reprieve. And then we do it all over again on Saturday as the storm system exits through Sunday. Take a look at the first alert futurecast. And again, the model has been almost dead on the last couple of days. Strong flow off the Gulf, strong storms trying to develop after 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. line of storms developing out to the west of us, and that will be trekking eastward. But any storms that are able to flare up in this environment have the potential to become strong to severe quickly. So take heed to the warnings. When they are issued today, take heed to the warnings. Take the time now before you head out the door. Get the kids' mindset right. I know they want to come home after school. If they get an early dismissal, they want to sit down, play some Fortnite, listen to some music, and enjoy themselves. They need to be in the mindset today that if warnings are issued, they hear those sirens going off, that they need to get to where they need to be safe, especially in those situations where students are at home by themselves in that interim between the early dismissal time, which we do expect more districts may opt to do, and the time that parents are able to get home. So again, give them that heads up now of what they need to do in that instance. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, storms start to roll eastward. By 7, we're talking about an active period. I think by around sunset, all of the ingredients will basically be sitting on top of the coverage area to allow for any one of these storms to become severe that could feature damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. And unfortunately, today is the type of day that these storms will be able to sustain themselves for quite some time. So any storms that are able to develop could very well have storm impacts that may be long lasting. I want you to turn your attention to northeastern Mississippi. The reason why I say that not everybody will see the same impacts is because this system will fall down towards the south and then stall right along I-40. And notice places like Corinth and Ripley, Mississippi, there's nothing going on. Tupelo, Mississippi, not much going on, because the ridge of high pressure that's buckling this or keeping this from moving is going to keep it from moving for several days on end, and try to push it back off to the north. Thursday morning, 2 a.m., heavy rainfall, flooding concerns through that time frame. We continue that threat through the morning commute. But notice the front lifts off to the north, just north of I-40. This is the corridor where we have a high risk for flooding for Thursday. We transition out of a severe weather threat to a flood threat very quickly. And then, on top of that, another risk for strong and severe thunderstorms that could come rippling through as we head through the evening and overnight period of your Friday. High risk for today, slight risk for Thursday, slight to marginal risk on Friday. Now understand, the farther south that you go, the better you will be able to fare with this. So again, notice Alcorn, Tippah, Benton, Lafayette counties. Friday, nothing doing for you. I don't even think you get rain. In some parts of the area, I don't think we will get rain on Friday. Thursday, it's really going to be I-40 points northward, and then a lot of us will end up with the storm potential for today. Remember the flood threat. This is going to be a situation over the course of a couple of days that will pile upon itself. A moderate risk of flooding in of itself is a big deal. A high risk of flooding in the same area that just had a moderate risk of flooding, significant flood threat emerges, especially through the afternoon and evening hours of Thursday. And then the moderate risk goes northward, but guess what? We get another moderate risk for Saturday. It's 3 days in a row. The last time we had a moderate risk for flooding, high risk for flooding, was back in February, and that ended up with a dam break up in northwest Tennessee. And then we get to Saturday, and there's another round of strong and severe storms. Already an enhanced risk for strong and severe storms across north Mississippi and areas along and south of I-40. Guess what? Those are the areas that haven't seen very much in the way of storm development through the course of the previous 3 days. Friday evening, storms developing to the west. This would be the flood threat that will take us through Friday to the north and west of the Action News 5 coverage area. Then we go into Saturday morning and we start progressing the line to the east. And all the while, it's dumping copious amounts of rainfall and the potential for strong and severe storms. And finally, by Sunday, we finally clear things out. It'll be colder, but we will take it at that point. There's a look at the 10-day forecast. 3 first alert weather days on there. All of them involving flooding and or severe storms. Today, it's the severe storm aspect. Tomorrow, it's the flood threat. Friday, a brief reprieve. If you live in North Mississippi, you may be completely dry. You may see sunshine on Friday. Again, this is not at all everybody seeing it, the impacts at the same time. There's a lot that's going to happen over the coming days. Everybody will end up seeing the storms on Saturday as we finally get the push to clear all of this out through that time frame, and eventually cooler air begins to move in here and we brighten up the skies early next week. Take the time today to get yourself together, get your family in order for the potential for strong and severe thunderstorms in the very least, and then the potential for flooding that will emerge as well. Stay weatherware anywhere and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Have multiple ways of getting weather information. Take the time to charge up your devices and know what to do and know where to go in the event severe weather happens to strike in your area.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. The time now is 8:16. You just heard from First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis. The big story for this morning, I should say, is the weather, with it being a First Alert weather day, not just for today, but a few days where we will be seeing severe weather. So you definitely want to stay abreast about all of the things happening here at Action News 5 as we keep you up to date with the latest developments and stories. Speaking of stories, MLGW has already kicked off preparation and they are in high gear. Crews were seen Tuesday afternoon trimming trees. MLGW says they are about 89% complete with their trimming goal. President and CEO Doug McGowan said what makes this storm different is the fact that it will be a days-long event, as Patrick Ellis mentioned. So since this will be a very active weather pattern, MLGW says if you see a down power line, call MLGW's emergency hotline, that number 528-4465, or use your My account to report any outages.
We want to make sure you're staying weather aware. Crews are on standby in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Crittenden County, Tipton County, all counties across the Mid-South. And matter of fact, one thing you'll see on the roads is our First Alert Storm Tracker. Let me show you one tool that you'll see us using for the next several days. This is our 360-degree camera that we'll be using to monitor damages and also track power outages that are happening all across the Mid-South. So another way to stay weather aware and informed, download our First Alert weather app to make sure you're staying weather aware. Reporting in downtown Memphis, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
All righty, thanks so much, Stephanie. Well, Action News 5 reached out to local EMA offices to see how they are prepping for severe weather in the Mid-South. According to the Shelby County Office of Emergency Management, crews will be stationed at the Operations Center, keeping a close eye on weather in real time. And we also reached out to DeSoto County's EMA. The agency is encouraging residents to pay attention to changing weather conditions over the next few days. DeSoto County EMA has water and ground search and rescue teams ready to respond quickly if needed. The state also has Mississippi Task Forces 1, 2, and 3 on high alert. These are some of the most highly trained rescue personnel in the nation. MTF 1 covers North Mississippi here in the Mid-South. And Tipton County's Emergency Management Agency released the following statement to Action News 5 saying, quote, "We roundtabled every agency's plans, assets, and capabilities in relation to the upcoming events. We have also made a push through social media channels to spread the word about Code Red and making preparations ahead of this for each individual's household. And we should note Code Red is a high-speed notification system for residents via text, email, and social media. Well, if you're headed out the door, this is something you need to know. April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and Tennessee authorities are making sure you're not on your phone while driving. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office launched Operation Hands Free. TDOT has posted Hands Free Tennessee on its highway message boards to remind you we are a hands-free state. You'll see it all across the interstate on those boards there. So if you're caught holding your phone while driving, you could pay a fine of $50 for the first offense. And according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 3,300 Americans died in 2022 from crashes caused by distracted driving. Well, Tennessee health officials have confirmed 3 more measles cases, bringing the total now to 5 cases across the state. The 3 new cases are reportedly from Middle Tennessee. The first case was confirmed last month in Rutherford County. 1 measles case has also been confirmed near Memphis. Health officials say that people are now at home recovering, and they're working to identify locations and other people that have been potentially exposed to the virus. Nearly a dozen people forced from their homes after the second-floor walkway at a Midtown apartment building near Peabody and Vance collapsed. According to the Memphis Fire Department, no injuries were reported, and 10 residents were evacuated from the second floor. The lady you just saw on your screen is Kanitha Smith. She's one of the residents who's now displaced. She was very emotional after coming to terms with the fact she didn't have many options now that her apartment was behind this yellow tape. Smith said she has lived there for 11 years and was starting a new journey to leave those apartments after years and years of issues. Smith also says she's noticed a problem before. She noticed a problem actually weeks ago and notified the property management about the issue. Action News 5 reached out to the property management company for comment on this, and they were closed. We are still waiting for a response. Red Cross is providing assistance to the residents, and they will be relocated until the building is deemed safe. In Wynne, Arkansas this morning, residents in Wynne are still recovering 2 years after a devastating tornado. You may remember an EF3 tornado ripped through the city, killing 4 people and hurting more than 24. While some homes and the schools are finally rebuilding, the scars of the destruction, they're still there. Wynne Mayor Jennifer Hobbs says the rebuild would take years, but is happy seeing people slowly rebuild. The Wynne Police Department will issue warnings to those who have unkept properties after the tornado. Well, we all know flooding is a major concern over the next few days. One Mid-South couple tells Action News 5 they are doing everything they can do to stay safe. Michael and Susan Teed live on Shiloh Road in Marion and showed up for the free sandbags the Marion High School football team put together for area residents. You can see it was a very crowded scene there. So many people came to pick up their sandbags. The Tees say their road floods every year, but thankfully it's never made it inside their home. They grabbed 9 sandbags because they don't believe they will be as lucky this time around. The Tees, as you can see, were not the only ones getting those sandbags. A steady flow of residents lined up at the sports complex on Tuesday afternoon until they ran out. Those are your top stories this morning. Here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, we'll keep you up to date on the latest stories. We're going to take a 60-second break, and we'll be back in just a few.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. March is National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. It really is a time to emphasize the importance of early detection and preventative screening for colorectal cancer. If caught early, it is highly treatable, and it is something that can be preventable as well. Let's bring in a couple of ladies to talk more about this. I am joined by Dr. Christine Molmetti and Dee West, a 5-year survivor of colorectal cancer. Good morning to you both. Dr. Molmetti, let me talk with you first, and let's just talk about colorectal cancer for a minute. Why the screening is so valuable and so important, especially when it comes to early detection. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Colorectal cancer screening is critical. It saves lives, and we're now seeing in the U.S. colorectal cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in men under 50. This is not widely known. It's also the second leading cause of cancer death across men and women across the United States. And so screening is really our only tool to prevent this disease and to detect it early so that we can have better survival rates and we can reduce the number of cases that we actually see in the United States today.
Dee, I want to talk with you, and for a moment, could you just share your story with us? I'm so glad that you are able to be here and talk with us about it as a 5-year cancer survivor. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, so in 2020, at the age of 51, I became pretty sick. And I was really weak and tired and dizzy. And so I promised a family member I would go get a physical. And so I went to my doctor, and based on my age, he recommended I get a colonoscopy. And so a few months later, I had that colonoscopy and was incredibly shocked to learn that I had cancerous polyps. And I wish I would have known then the importance of the screening and getting the colonoscopies. For me, my colonoscopy absolutely saved my life. And I was able to catch it early. And, you know, the colonoscopies, I think, get a really bad rap because the prep maybe is unpleasant. But the procedure itself, I tell everyone, is a really good nap. And, you know, it helps detect early cancer, and the prep and the colonoscopy is a lot easier than the mental gymnastics that comes with a cancer diagnosis. So I just cannot be a bigger advocate to tell people, spread the awareness to get a colonoscopy. And I partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to help spread this message and point other patients like myself to colorectalcancer.org if they need resources, buddy systems, whatever you have for caretakers, parents, families, friends, a lot of resources that they're working on as the leading nonprofit.
So, Christine, over to you again. I want to talk about why the screening is now recommended at 45 instead of 50. What has changed? Has our diet just gotten that much worse? What can you tell from your vantage point?
So yes, 45 is the new 50. There is not enough awareness about that. We still have a lot of gaps in education and awareness about screening. So we want people, if you're 45 plus, if you're listening, you need to get screened for colorectal cancer, even if you have no symptoms at all. The landscape has changed over the last several decades in terms of what we as Americans are exposed to in terms of our diet, in terms of our lifestyle. We sit a lot more, which is another risk factor for these precancerous polyps, alcohol use. There's a lot of things in our diet, in our environment, that may be driving some of this increase, but we don't know yet. There's still a lot of questions. There's a lot of investigations, both clinically and scientifically, that are ongoing right now to understand, what is causing this disease. But our only strategy right now to prevent early onset colorectal cancer is to have people understand their family history. If you have a family history of cancer, colorectal cancer, or polyps in your family, advanced polyps, you need to be screened at 40 or 10 years before your relative's polyp or cancer diagnosis. And that's another message that we are working with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to spread through the U.S. And we'd like to direct people to getscreened.org to do a risk assessment, look at your risk, and look at your screening options. And that website is extremely helpful and a great resource for directing you or pointing you in the right direction.
Okay, Dr. Christine Molmetti and Dee Dee West, we appreciate your time here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Exciting interview lined up for you this morning. We are speaking with our friends at the Memphis Botanic Garden about a really exciting event coming up this weekend. It's a family play day, and it's a lot to do, a lot to see. But I'm going to bring in our friend Gina Harris, the Director of Education and Events at Memphis Botanic Garden, to tell us all about it. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for stopping by the digital desk. So we have to jump right into this event because I see my eyes are going right behind you this morning to this nice setup you have behind us. Tell me a little bit about what family and friends can expect if they stop by the Botanic Garden this weekend.
Yeah, so if you haven't been to the garden yet this spring, you might not have seen some of our new friends that have come by to hang out with us for a few months. These are Thomas Dambo's trolls. This right here, this is Rosa Sunfinger, and she is a troll that everything she touches grows plants. So all spring, we're going to have programs, activities where families can come out, meet all the trolls, learn a little bit about what those trolls are passionate about. You know, they're here to kind of teach all the humans how to live a little bit lighter on the earth and do things a little bit more sustainably. And so this Saturday from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock, we're going to have a Trolls and Trowels family play day. So as you go around and explore to meet all the trolls, they'll have some of their friends with them as well. That'll be doing activities. When you come over to Rosa, we'll have some friends here talking about native plants and why it's important to plant native plants in your yard. And you'll actually get to take some planted seeds back home to put in your own backyard. We'll go over in the Great Lawn. We have Comic-Con, who is our recycle troll. And we're going to have a recreation station where kids can take some of the things that maybe they might have seen as trash before and create some new fun things with those. We'll have Andrew Best here playing some fun music. We'll have lawn games out. We'll have food trucks available for people to grab a picnic lunch. Stay. I know it's a little chilly today, but it's going to warm up some on Saturday. So put on your coats, come out and enjoy a spring day at the garden.
I am sold. You pretty much sold me there. It seems like it's so much to do and so much to see. Tell me this, how many trolls are there located around the park? Did I read that there are at least 6?
There are 6 trolls that are here. So these trolls kind of travel as a group. And again, their message is to go around and teach people how to live a little bit more sustainably. So, you know, each troll has a different mission. We have Rania Redeye, and her mission is to speak out. And so you'll learn some information there. You'll get to hear the story about the trolls and why the trolls are here. We'll have a story time at 10:30, 11:30, and 12:30 on Saturday. And yeah, the rest of the trolls, they're kind of spread throughout our 96 acres. We have Basse Bueller, who's our wild child troll, and he's kind of tucked way back in the woods where you have to go over there and find him because he likes to use nature to create art. So when you go back and you discover him back in the woods, there's some rocks that the families and kids can take and make designs and things like that on the ground. So it's lots of fun to discover and find all the trolls.
You can't beat that. I'm excited about that. And just speaking of the trolls, exactly, so how are they designed? I mean, it's huge, it's nice to see it, but tell me exactly, like, are they sent here to the botanic garden like that, or did you guys have to build it up? So take me behind the scenes here.
Yeah, so the trolls are actually from Denmark. Thomas Dambo is the artist that created these trolls, and there's over 100 trolls across the world. These 6 trolls travel together as a little pack. Like I said, they're created out of recycled pallets. So it's all recycled materials. Thomas Dambo is considered one of the world's top recycled artists. And he's got all kinds of different artworks that he's made from recycled pallets and plastics. He has a plastic flower garden that he creates, and you would never even know that these things are plastic. It's crazy. But yeah, so all of these were brought to the garden, and they travel around throughout the United States and, like I said, across the world. They most recently they came from Philadelphia. So they traveled down from Philadelphia and came to us, and then they're going to be going all the way across the country back out to the West Coast in California after they leave the garden. So if you live anywhere around us and you want to get a chance to see them without having to hop on a plane, make sure you come out. They'll be here until May 21st.
All right, so plenty of time to come see them before they hit the road once again. Great. So I know it's cold, so I'm not going to keep you out there too long, but tell me this, how can we get families out? What all should they know as they prepare for the weekend and maybe bring their kids out to come participate in all the festivities?
Yeah, if you can come out this weekend, just come out, be prepared to wear your walking shoes, hike around, see all the trolls, spend a couple of hours out here with us, learning from each of the trolls, and taking home some fun things to be able to apply some of those ideas and lessons when you get back to your house. But again, if you can't come this weekend, we'll have all kinds of different programming. During spring break, every day we'll have drop-in activities that each different troll will do an activity during the week of spring break. On April the 5th, we'll have Troll Fest, which is another day where the trolls will have all kinds of friends come out to do activities with them. And then again, throughout the run of this event, if you go on our website at membg.org, it lists all the different programs. We'll be doing story times, be doing adult programming activities, as well as more kids' fun activities.
All right, that's Jenna Harris keeping us in the know about what's happening this weekend. Was there anything else you wanted to add that I did not ask you today?
Yeah, just make sure you come out. You know, our spring plant sale is coming up as well. So if you're coming out for that, come out, check out the trolls, grab your plant. So make sure you go on our calendar, check out all of those different programs and opportunities that we have. If you have kids in school, make sure their schools know, because we have all kinds of field trip opportunities for students to come out and meet the trolls as well.
Exciting. All right. Well, thanks so much for stopping by the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Let's talk about cholesterol for a minute. We hear about good levels of cholesterol, bad levels of cholesterol. We hear about good and bad cholesterol. Let's bring in someone to decipher what all this means and how we can lead the best healthy life possible. I'm joined right now by Dr. Anna Yang with Regional One Health. Dr. Yang, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. So we hear so much about good and bad cholesterol. Tell us about these two types and how we should deal with them both. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks again for having me. So yes, cholesterol can be a little bit difficult to understand. So cholesterol is something that everybody has in their body and everybody needs to have in their body. It's really important for a lot of your body's functions, making cells and some vitamins and different things. So everybody has to have cholesterol. So where cholesterol becomes a problem is when there's too much of it. So when you go to your doctor and you get your cholesterol levels tested, you usually get a whole slew of numbers called the lipid panel. And so on this lipid panel, you might find things like total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, and triglycerides. So what you hear about when people say bad cholesterol is they're generally referring to that LDL. Or the low density lipoprotein. And this is a type of cholesterol. And these are the bad cholesterols because they're responsible for narrowing your blood vessels. They're the ones that if people say, oh, you've got too much cholesterol in your arteries and they're clogging your blood flow and, you're at risk for certain things like, heart disease or strokes. That's what they're talking about is that LDL. Now, on the flip side, the HDL you actually want more of. So the HDL is, quote unquote, that good cholesterol. And the good thing about the HDL is it actually helps you remove the unwanted cholesterols from your body. So it brings cholesterol back to the liver is one of the things that it does to remove some of the cholesterols that you don't want to build up. So that's what makes it, quote unquote, the good cholesterol.
So let me ask you, because I know that these numbers have changed over time. There have been numbers where the bad cholesterol or the overall cholesterol can't exceed 200, and now that number's been reduced. Tell me where we are on the proper levels. I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right.
Sure. So the most important numbers are really the LDL and the HDL. That total cholesterol number doesn't matter as much as those two, and the ratio of how much LDL versus non-LDL cholesterol that you have. The main non-LDL cholesterol is HDL, but there are other non-LDL cholesterols out there too. So the LDL cholesterol, we would like that number lower. So ideally under 100. Now, certain people who already have some medical conditions may want that number even lower, potentially even, less than 80 or 70, depending on other factors. But in general, LDL under 100 is the goal. The HDL, on the other hand, you want higher. So greater than 40 or 60 or, higher numbers are a good thing for HDL.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about my panels when I get blood work done. Sometimes they were like, okay, you got to keep your cholesterol levels under 200. Are they factoring in HDL and LDL with that?
So generally with that 200 number, they're talking about the total cholesterol number, which matters as well. But truly the LDL is the more important one that you want lower.
Okay. And what about lipoprotein little a? Because that is something that more and more people are talking about. And I'm just wondering if that is a big concern when it comes to heart disease.
Yeah, so it's a different number now that people are using to measure, and it does seem to correlate with risk factors for things like heart disease. So even though that number isn't traditionally in your typical lipid panel, sometimes doctors, again, depending on your risk factors and what other medical conditions you have, are ordering this test too as another way to measure the cholesterol levels and your risk and whether or not you need to be on potentially medication to lower your cholesterol.
Okay, and what are some of the best ways to improve our cholesterol numbers?
So non-medication wise, diet is really where you really need to monitor for your cholesterol. So the majority of the cholesterol that your body needs is already being made by your liver. So you really don't need extra cholesterol. And you get cholesterol from animal products. So these are things like meat or dairy or eggs. So you want to decrease the amount of saturated fat that you're eating. These will contribute to your LDL going up. So saturated fats, especially things that you find in these animal products. But you want to increase instead the diet of good fats. So these are your unsaturated fats. These include things like avocado fats, fats that you get from nuts or seeds or fish. So changing the ratio of where you get fat from your diet will make a big difference. For those who are overweight, even losing just 5 to 10 pounds can make a pretty good difference on your cholesterol numbers. The other thing is increasing fiber, increasing your soluble fiber intake, decreasing your overall calories. These also make a good difference with your cholesterol as well, raising the HDL and lowering the LDL.
What's the most important thing you want people to remember when it comes to cholesterol, your numbers, how to bring it down, everything that we talked about?
So the first step is to check. So the first step is to make sure you go to your doctor and you get appropriate screening. Sometimes these aren't things that you feel. Sometimes people with normal weights have elevated cholesterol without knowing it. It's not always just something you get when you're overweight or obese. So make sure you go to your doctor. We even recommend children now get screened for cholesterol because we're seeing that even children are having problems with high cholesterol. So the first step is just to make sure you go to your doctor, get screened at appropriate intervals, do what you can, to improve your own habits in your daily life. And if necessary, potentially starting medication as prescribed by your doctor to lower your risk, for heart disease, strokes, and even losing your arms or legs because you don't have, good blood flow to these parts of your body.
All right, Dr. Anna Yang, we appreciate your time as always on the Action News 5 digital desk. Very informative this morning. Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. As the school year enters its stretch run, many children begin to feel the weight of the academic demands, the social pressures, extracurricular commitments, and some of that can be a little bit overwhelming. So how do we avoid mid-year school burnout for our children? Let's bring in someone to help us on this topic. I'm joined right now by Madison Harp. She is with Youth Villages, and she is a licensed clinical social worker with them. Madison, good morning to you. So I'm sure you've seen this with the people that you come across in your practice. Tell me, what are some of the factors that that contribute to this kind of issue? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So I think we are all feeling it this morning with the time change. This is typically the time of year that young people don't have a lot of breaks to look forward to. It's typically the year where the weather is still not great and the magic of Christmas has worn off. All those kind of fun parts that we look forward to in our school time is now over. This is typically the time that state testing starts to be talked about and comes around, and a bunch of different changes for our young people that make this time of the year specifically very stressful.
Yeah, I totally get it. So it's so important we understand that parents recognize the kind of signs, the symptoms of this kind of burnout, mid-year school burnout. What would you classify as maybe top 3, 4 different signs or symptoms of that kind of burnout?
Yeah, first is an increase in irritability. So you might ask something simple like, "Hey, can you take out the trash?" And you might get, that snippiness or like that attitude, right, that we see. That's typically a first sign of burnout. Another sign is if your young person used to be really engaged in just simple activities. For example, they really like to match their outfits for school, or they were particularly hanging out with a certain group or wanting to go places, and now they maybe prefer to stay at home. They maybe prefer to be on a device more often, is a good sign that your young person is struggling with burnout.
Gotcha. Okay, so now that we've recognized the signs and the symptoms, Madison, what do we do then to help our child?
Yeah, so the first thing is acknowledging it. And so taking that time with your young person one on one to say, I recognize that your schedule is really hard, and taking the time to understand what their demands look like in the day to day. So one thing you can do is each school typically has a calendar online that they produce of when breaks will be, when sometimes state testing will be. I encourage you parents to look at that, to be aware of that. Those might be weeks where you maybe lower expectations, or you are able to help your young person prioritize relaxation and self-care.
Gotcha. What else can we talk about when it comes to ways parents can help their child overcome these kinds of issues?
Yeah, I think that every generation has different struggles. And so sometimes, we as parents, we're really quick to give a solution to a problem. So our young person says, I'm tired. Well, we say, you should have went to bed earlier. They say, I don't have a lot of energy. And we're like, well, you should eat better. And sometimes our young person is just looking for a sounding board, that positive adult to help guide them in that time. And so if you notice your young person struggling, let's say math, they're failing math, instead of approaching it like, hey, why are you failing math? I'm going to have to take your electronics away, right? Approaching it with, something is hard about math, and I want to understand. Utilizing their school portal that reports on grades, that reports on these events happening, pulling that up with your young person and saying, like, walk me through, kind of playing like, you don't know, like, walk me through what this means. Walk me through this grade book. Another thing that you can do is taking intentional time with your young person one-to-one. And you guys can do this as a family, but to make a schedule or like a weekly planner is something to help them time manage and build those skills for success that we all need as adults. And then to be able to understand what their week looks like. So again, that might be a week where you approach things more gently with them. That might be a week where we take time to prioritize relaxation and self-care in the schedule, like you help them schedule it in for themselves.
Madison, is there a place online where people can look at some of the different things that you mentioned here? Because it's very informative, it's very good, and I know useful tips like this, people like to kind of see it online themselves. Is there any place where people can go?
Definitely looking. I recently wrote an article about this in the Portland Tribune, so I can link that. But Youth Villages often has different resources that parents can look into for helping manage stress, because not only is this a stressful time for young people, it's a stressful time for parents to help manage it all. And so remembering that your self-care is important as a parent also, and to be able to manage your stress and your schedule. So whatever way or resource that you can do that is a resource you can rely on. Another is getting to know your school and your school's resources. The first thing I would do is Google my child's school and see what their website looks like. There might be links to different things you didn't know about, or even connecting with their school counselor or their teachers to understand what resources are already available.
Awesome. All right, Madison Harp with Youth Villages. Appreciate the conversation. Very important conversation to have this time of year, especially. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We got some cool news right now. The first ever commercial rover to explore the surface of the moon just landed, okay? This is something that's extraordinary. This mission is a collaboration between Castro Technology Labs, Lunar Outpost, and MIT Media Labs. Let's bring in someone who's well-versed in all of this. I'm joined by Nicola Buck. She is with Castro Technology Labs, joining us on the digital desk to talk about this mission. So let's hear it, Nicola. Good morning.
Hi there, good morning.
Tell me what's going on. So I understand the rover just landed. Is that correct? Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's right. I was lucky enough to go last week to Kennedy Space Center and see the rocket launch. And as you said, a really exciting time for space exploration because all three elements of the launch are from commercial companies, which is happening for the first time as they go to the south pole of the moon. So that's the rocket, the lander, and the rover. They will undertake or are due to undertake a number of missions while they're up there and landed recently. Now, it's a challenging environment up there, so we'll see how it all goes. But the hope is to learn a lot of things through this mission that will inform future habitation in space eventually. So a super exciting time. And at Castro, we're collaborating together with MIT Media Lab on some of their science experiments involving this little AstroAmp, which is a micro robot from MIT Media Lab that will be collecting data and other signals while it's up on the south pole of the moon.
Fantastic. Okay, so tell me about some of the specific things that rover is going to be doing. I know soil samples, drilling into the moon's surface. Tell me how that helps the idea one day of human exploration and humans living on the surface.
Yeah, so the south pole of the moon is a really exciting place for us that's unexplored because in theory, and one day we will find water ice there. And if we find water ice, then it unlocks all sorts of opportunities for us in terms of obviously water, but also hydrogen, maybe to use for rocket fuel. So if we can discover all of that, then it opens up future opportunities for humans. And so the rover is due to find out about this. And on top of the rover, as I say, we have our little AstroAnt from MIT Media Lab, and we're co-research partners with them to test out how this could work. And the vision is a swarm of these little ants that may work in space to make things more effective. So if you can send a little micro robot like this out onto the surface of a rocket to collect data, it's much easier than sending a human, for example. So Castro's working together with MIT Media Lab to provide the space-grade lubricants to keep these wheels moving on the south pole of the moon. And what's really interesting is before it went off to the moon, we took it to Lanzarote, which is off the coast of Spain, because Lanzarote is a volcanic island. The island's surface is very similar to the moon. And so we were research partners with MIT Media Lab to go test it out in Lanzarote before it heads off to where it is now.
So let me ask you this. You know, I'm enjoying seeing some of the video there that you're showing us of you know, what could be amazing images of the moon now that it's landed. Where can we watch this rover go through the surface of the moon, specifically the South Pole of the moon?
Yeah, head off to Castrol.com and the latest on all of our activities to do with space, and then how we convert that to products here on Earth are there to be found. And you can find out more about MIT's Astroant and what Castrol is doing together with them to drive some of this exciting experimentation forward.
How long is the rover going to be there? How often can we look at the various videos and pictures? Give us a time frame.
Yeah, so the teams on the ground at Mission Control in Denver are working all that out right now. They've got a lot to overcome. The mission is due to last up to 10 days, and Castrol will keep you updated on the website with what comes next. But it is a challenging environment, I know, and they're dealing with technical challenges. So we've got a lot to learn, and there'll be other missions in the future as well, which you can learn about more on Castrol.com.
Excellent, excellent. Is there any kind of ballpark time frame on when human exploration could begin?
Oh goodness, I think that's a big question. So we don't know, but it is fascinating to learn about it. And as I've learned about it over the last few weeks, when you start hearing the possibility of water or finding ice, which means obviously water, and then understanding that, if you could get hydrogen from the H2O to power rocket fuel in the future, suddenly it feels a lot closer to me than it did last week when I didn't think it was possible at all. So really amazing firsts that are happening through these missions. And whatever happens on the moon, we will learn a little bit every time we go to bring that deadline closer.
That sounds fantastic. All right, Nicola Buck with Castro Technology Lab. We appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk to talk about this first ever commercial lunar mission to the moon. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The time now is 9:03. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Taylor Tucker in for Andrew Douglas. You know it's a big deal when we bring my friend Patrick Ellis onto the Digital Desk. We know today it's a first alert weather day. There's a lot to cover because your eyes are not only on today, but several days, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a very active situation in the next couple of days.
Okay.
This is not one of those things that we need to take lightly. The last time we had a high risk, which if you've been watching at any length this morning, we've been mentioning that the portions of the Action News 5 coverage are underneath a high risk for severe weather, a level 5 out of 5. The last time we had a severe weather risk that high here in the Mid-South was March 31st, 2023.
So it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but
Yeah.
of course, a lot of people remember that. We were just talking about that today, looking back retrospectively at the tornadoes that went through Wynne, Arkansas, Covington, Tennessee. That was a very active day. Oddly enough, that was my interview day here at Action News 5.
We put you to work already. then,
And I
the
was
first
I
day.
was I was working that day behind the scenes with Spencer Denton and Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers. So, needless to say, this could be a very active day. We're hopeful that it's not, but the ingredients in the atmosphere are lending themselves to that. So let's take a look at what's going on with the weather. And of course, Taylor, if you got a question, you just jump in and let me know.
Sure thing.
Okay, so as far as today is concerned, yeah, you see the first alert weather day, and really it's days. Now we've extended it to Thursday and Saturday. They all have their own unique situation that will unfold. And yeah, even Friday we'll have a risk for strong storms as we head through that time frame. I do want to give you a heads up of what to expect here today. Temperatures will warm up well into the 80s. I was just looking, I think we're at 77 right now at Memphis International Airport. It's 9:05 in the morning. If you remember yesterday, it was gorgeous yesterday. The high was in the low 70s. We started there this morning. And so that launch point is giving us a very warm, muggy beginning to a very warm and unstable end through the course of the day. You see the coverage of rain increasing as we head towards the afternoon hours for today. Let's take a look at one of the impacts. This is just one of the multiple impacts that may be on the way just today, not to mention as we head through the next couple of days. The winds, and you probably have noticed that if you've stepped out the door at any length of time. This is that day that you probably want to go ahead and, if it's trash day at your house and in your neighborhood, that trash can may be in the neighbor's yard, the neighbor's yard, and maybe the neighbor's yard. Because we're howling winds right now. I just saw a wind gust in Marks, Mississippi, almost 50 miles per hour. The strongest of the winds have not even gotten here yet. So we could very well have, especially the Delta locations, could very well have wind gusts over 50 miles per hour, and that's without any thunderstorms. That could cause its own set of issues, and we're hopeful that everything works out fine, but don't be surprised if we have some power outages even before the storms get here. So take the time now to charge up your devices and be prepared for that potential. Now, when you look at the storm risks ahead, there are 3 days there, and each day features a severe weather risk. Now, obviously, it stands out that today is the highest of the risk. When you see that pink area, that is a high risk. That's a level 5 out of 5. As I mentioned, the last time we had a high risk was March 31st, 2023. This encompasses from basically Little Rock all the way up to Paducah, Kentucky, and of course, we're kind of honed in right in the middle of all that. Eastern Arkansas, Northwest Tennessee, Southern Missouri, and the northwest tip of Mississippi. Now understand, even outside of that, you've got a moderate risk that goes all the way down to Pickwick Lake and all the way back westward, west of Little Rock. So even if that was the case, yesterday when we had the upgrade to moderate, that was its own set of issues, and now, the ingredients are definitely there for a higher end severe weather potential. Now, a reminder to folks, when we talk about severe weather, this is not going to be for every single portion of the Action News 5 coverage area. Not everybody will see severe weather. Not everybody will even see flooding the next couple of days. This is a very peculiar situation that's going to unfold because of a big ridge of high pressure that's developing to our south and east. It is locking the pattern in place. So this will not move. But there will be a point in time where places like northeastern Mississippi, I'm talking Corinth, Ripley, Mississippi, Blue Mountain, Walnut, Rienzi, back over towards Iuka and Tishomingo, our friends in Selma, Guys, and Raymer, Tennessee. You guys may not see very much of anything for not one, not two, but maybe 3 days where we don't have very much going on. But in other locations, it could be a completely different story, maybe 4 days in a row that we're talking about. That we may be dealing with things. What happened?
Just take that mic.
Okay.
It's better.
Okay. I was told, Taylor told me to take this mic, so give me just 1 second. I'll put it back on the storm risk really quickly. And again, you see the opportunity for storms coming into play here as we head through the latter portion of today. The time frame would be after 3 p.m. So dismissal time and thereafter. And I know that gets kind of people a little worked up too. And we've had some districts that have called out or at least done early dismissals. Not everyone has, though. I don't make that call. that is up to the EMA officials, the county officials, and the National Weather Service. I'm not included in that call, and I don't want to be included in that call. That is a lot of stress for a lot of people, and so I understand that they're going through a lot right now. Thursday, we have another risk for strong and severe storms. Friday, we have another strong storm risk. And then keep in mind, we have a flood risk that all encompasses this through this same time frame. The last time we had a high risk for flooding, and that's really the risk for tomorrow. That's why we have the first alert weather day for tomorrow. It's the flood risk. It was February, and we had a dam break up in northwest Tennessee. And we had copious amounts of rainfall. We had flood concerns all across northwest Tennessee, northeastern Arkansas, and unfortunately, that is the same location that could have the strong and severe storms today, may have the flood threat tomorrow, and guess what? There's more on the way. This is just 3 days. Remember, we are in a 4-day gauntlet, really 4 to 5 day gauntlet. So give me 2 seconds here. I got to switch computers here because I got to switch over to our other system. So give me just 1 second so I can step this forward. But you can see the winds. They're going to be howling out of the south throughout the course of the day today, and that's going to be another thing that we have to keep in mind. Hopefully this will do what I want it to do here. And see, there we go. All right, so now we're cooking with gas, but unfortunately the atmosphere may be doing the same thing later on today. The storms are going to start to erupt as we get towards 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I want you to look out west. That's one line of storms, and then anything that flares up in the environment ahead of it could be suspect for strong and severe elements. I think the higher risk of severe weather will happen right around this time through about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to come back on here, and I'm going to say it like I said on television. I know that the Chicago shows are very popular. I know that we aired them here on Action News 5. They're great shows. But understand today may be the day that we may cover them up. I would forgo sending the emails and the phone calls, please. For everybody in the newsroom's sake, we're just trying to make sure that y'all stay safe. That's the number one goal here. Those shows will be on Hulu. Those shows will be on NBC.com, Peacock, all of that in the next couple of days, okay? You can watch it before you get to next week's episode. You got 3 weeks, I think, on NBC.com to watch the previous 3 weeks' episodes. So it's free. So keep that in mind, okay? We've got a lot that will happen here the next couple of days.
Hey, Patrick, can I hop in? I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look at some of the questions that some are proposing on Facebook here. Someone said, is there any chance the storm can weaken? What are you seeing?
So I'll come back over here to that question. It is possible that we could have a mixed mode situation, meaning that the storms are not supercellular, they're more conglomerated. And if they start running into each other and start competing for inflow, those storms will not be able to hit their ceiling. Let's hope that's the case. Let's hope that these storms are just all sorts of craziness from the standpoint that they start running into each other and they start to kind of cut each other off. But it is possible that we could just be off and running here later on today. Some of the indications would suggest that is the case. At any rate, as we go through that time frame, and when you look at our hour-by-hour forecast, you see that cell coming up from like North Mississippi, and there's more cells back out to the west. Look what happens as we push that forward. Some of those cells, again, may not be able to tap into the atmosphere initially, but anything that can tap into the atmosphere between about 5 to about 10 o'clock this evening, the environment is highly conducive for severe weather. And you can only hope that there's something that can mitigate it. There are mitigating factors, and we're hopeful that some of them win out. Very quickly, after midnight tonight, this will transition out of a severe weather threat. But that starts the flood threat as we go into your day tomorrow. Look what happens as we go into tomorrow morning. The front gets pinned along I-40. I think tomorrow morning's commute is going to be pretty messy across the area, but at the same time, we've already had several inches of rainfall at that point, and then it gets shunted and pinned in northeastern Arkansas, northwest Tennessee. And it continues in that general area all day long. Heavy downpours continually moving over the same area over and over and over again. And even with that being said, there could also be some strong storms embedded in that as well. Switch computers again. And let's see, there we go. So there's multiple ways that we can get into this. I bring this back up again when it comes down to the severe weather checklist. Again, charging your devices. Take the time now to do that now. Have multiple reliable sources of information and know what to do if and when warnings are issued. I'm going to talk to the parents out there. I know we've got some school districts that have made the decision to do early dismissals, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more that's on the way. As I mentioned, that's not my call. That's not my deal. I let the school districts handle that in the National Weather Service as well. But we may have a situation where we have kids at home by themselves. It's understandable with the early dismissal situations, especially the older kids, that they want to go home, they want to watch TV, play some Fortnite, listen to music, watch some TikToks. I get it, okay? My nephew's 10 years old. That's all he wants to do besides play basketball. Today, hopefully before you got the kids off to school, you had a talk with them and said, listen, today's a serious day when it comes down to weather. If the sirens go off or you hear something go off, your phone goes off, something like that, you need to turn on the TV, check in what's going on, find out where it's at, and know what to do and where to go in that situation. The other thing too, when we are talking about that, is knowing what to do and where to go in any situation moving forward. Because remember, today is a go down day and tomorrow will be a go up day. Down from the specifics of a tornado threat. You know, you want to be lowest floor, interior room, away from windows, and outward facing doors today. And then the flood threats tomorrow, you want to get to higher ground. So it is a lot going on, like I said, in short order when it comes down to this over the next couple of days. And that's why I said know what to do and know where to go if and when warnings are issued for your area. Have multiple reliable sources. I know we're streaming on Facebook right now. Let me get on my weekly rant about Facebook.
Let's hear it, Patrick.
Do not rely on warning information coming from Facebook. It is delayed. The algorithm does not do well with anything when it comes down to pertinent information. While you can get, this is why I don't post warning information on Facebook, because it may be 3 days down the road. And even some folks who may watch this later, this may be 3 days down the road that you see this.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. But that's not here nor there. We have to deal with what we got to do, but have multiple ways to get information, okay? Whether it be your county EMA official, your sheriff's office, you know, the National Weather Service here in Memphis. Again, anybody who's in our coverage area is covered by the National Weather Service in Memphis.
Patrick, I think now is a great time to kind of talk about the weather app. This is the perfect time to tell them how it works and where they can find it.
Yeah, of course, you know, that's one of those reliable sources of information. You know, the First Alert Weather app, you can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. I sent out an alert this morning. There are really four videos on there right now. One that's specifically talking about today, one that's specifically talking about tomorrow, one that's specifically talking about Friday and Saturday, and then one that's more longer form and talks about all the risks put together. That's one way. Severe weather alerts right there in the palm of your hand. Make sure that the GPS signal is located on your phone is turned on. And the reason why I say that is because you're able to, wherever you just happen to be, if you happen to drive yourself into a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, the phone, it will alert you, say, a tornado warning for your location. So make sure the GPS signal is used and not just a fixed location. If you use the fixed location, it's going to give you the warning for, say, if yours is fixed for Bartlett, or yours is fixed for Joyner, Arkansas, or if it's fixed for Coldwater, Mississippi, it's going to be fixed there no matter where you happen to be. But if you have the GPS turned on, the GPS locator on, and it can track you, if you're out and about, it can tell you that if you are inside of a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning or flash flood warning for that matter.
All right, buddy, I'm going to give you this. We're
Okay.
going to take a 60-second break, and we're going to come back and have those more updates about what we can expect today and for the next few days. Stay with us. We'll be back in the next 60 seconds.
All right, we're back. Of course, let you know, again, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also on the website, and we're also on the Plus channel. The Plus channel has commercials, so that's why we were in that little bit of a break there. But let's circle back over to where we go from here. And again, this is a look at Thursday now. So let's fast forward now to Thursday. And again, could be some strong and severe thunderstorms again Thursday, and heavy rainfall to go along with it as well as we go through the course of that time frame. It is not just on Thursday, it's Friday as well. But Friday, there might be a little bit of a reprieve as the front gets pushed to the north. And if that's the case, then it's going to be more so Arkansas and Missouri's issue than maybe the Mid-South. Now, as far as rainfall is concerned, this is going to run through just Friday. That's the latest update from the model that just came down within the last couple of minutes. And there's a corridor there. You see that pink corridor there? That is 10 plus inches of rainfall. That's just through Friday. Remember, you've got another couple of days on top of this. So it is very possible that we could have a corridor somewhere across northeastern Arkansas into northwest Tennessee where through Friday we could be over 10 inches of rainfall. And I also want to point something else out. Look down towards Alcorn County, Benton County. Notice how there is a sharp cutoff in the rainfall amounts. It is also very plausible that we would have no active weather issues down in those locations until Saturday. So let's step forward with that. Speaking to that, there's another severe weather risk. We had to issue the first alert weather day for Saturday, and enhanced risk for severe weather for Saturday for North Mississippi and Southwest Tennessee and East Central Arkansas. Slight risk outside of that. So all of these things coming together here as we go through the next couple of days to get into a very active period of time. Let's take a look here and maybe, oh, well, now I went to the wrong thing. So hold on, let me try to pop up the 10-day forecast.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Patrick, while you're pulling that up, I have a question for you on the Facebook Live. Someone asked, where do you feel is the greater area for tornadic activity?
It's in the high risk area, most definitely. But I would say that anybody who is, let me come back over here. I would say there are two areas of thought, and one of those areas of thought, something to watch out for, northwest Mississippi, the Delta. Because if any storms are able to flare up near I-55 or just west of I-55 in northwest Mississippi, those could quickly become supercellular as well. They are going to be way out ahead of the main line of storms. So, you know, anywhere from northwest Mississippi up through West Tennessee and eastern Arkansas, that's going to be the highlight point. Right now, the SPC has us underneath a 30% chance of a tornado today. The normal chance of a tornado on this given day is like 0.01%. So that is something that should be noted. It shouldn't scare you. I know it will try to. When you see all these maps and things like that, these things can get a little bit crazy. I know there's a lot of people who have storm anxiety. You know, we were just talking about it again. Wynn and Covington, just 2 years ago, it wasn't but the other day that we were talking about those tornadoes going through those areas. We're hopeful again that we won't have to deal with this. I'm hoping that I'm showing a big pink Barney looking thing on the thing and nothing happens today. I hope I am wrong. I hope we are all wrong in the Weather Enterprise today, because the environment that's in place is conducive for severe weather. That could be significant. Then reminder, you've got the flood threat that comes on the backside of it that lasts all the way through the next couple of days. So 2 days in a row that we're talking about, at least, where we're talking about the severe threat today, flood threat tomorrow, a brief reprieve, and then we're talking about the potential for more storms on Saturday as that system comes to an exit.
All right, Patrick, you know we have thousands tuned in on the digital desk each and every day, and we have, of course, this Facebook Live streaming right now. Some watching from home, some watching from work. What time should they head home today? Should they be in the house and put up?
So, I'm not your dad, and I'm not, I'm not your boss either. In my personal thoughts, anything after 3 p.m. gets a little squirrely. That does not mean that we will have severe storms active at 3 p.m., but the environment will at least be conducive for that after 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Unfortunately, that falls on the dismissal time today. That falls on the rush hour time today. So if you have the ability to leave early, by all means, try to do that. But, you know, if not, understand 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the environment may be there for severe weather, may not be able to pop off at least at that point in time, but we may be in the window in the very least. I do expect that there will be a tornado watch that will be issued sometime here in the next couple of hours. It will be a PDS, a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch box. All that means is just a heightened wording to let you know that this could be one of those situations that could get pretty active. Now, keep in mind, we had a PDS tornado watch a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, and we didn't have much of anything here locally. Now, that same storm system did put down an EF4, almost EF5 tornado in Diaz, Arkansas, just outside the Action News 5 coverage area. And we're hopeful that we don't have to deal with that here today. But again, the environment is in place. I've said this before. You can have all the potential, and there's a lot of potential out there today, okay? You have all the potential in the world, but if, you know, you're trying to bake a cake, you got all the ingredients sitting there on the countertop. If your oven's broke, you ain't getting a cake, okay? And we're going to hope that the oven's broke today. We'll hope the oven is broke, because the last thing we want to do is, you know, deal with a lot of severe weather. And it's a gauntlet. Like I said, it's a long duration event. Be prepared mentally for a long duration event from the standpoint of the severe weather today, the flood threat tomorrow, with also some embedded strong storms too. Then we go into Friday. There's a brief moment in time where we might be able to take a breath, and then we get back into it again late on Saturday.
All right, Patrick Ellis, live for us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Glad to have you here. I just hate us under these circumstances. So we're going to wrap this up. Where can anything else? What's the main takeaway everyone needs to know before we wrap this up and go to commercial break?
Just be prepared. You know, don't be scared. Be prepared. I said this earlier this morning. Take a couple of minutes for yourself. Take a breathe in. I said, you know, as my therapist says, you know, take your mental vacation. It's like take your deep breaths in and picture about the place that you find the most tranquil. If it's your bedroom, then that's fine. It could be, you know, 38. It could be the mountains, wherever. Just take that moment and breathe in. There's a lot of people who have storm anxiety over the years from all these different days. You know, we think back to some big days, March 31st being one of those. You know, Super Tuesday, that outbreak back in 2008. We look back at Hurricane Elvis back in 2003. We look back at the super outbreak of 2011 in April 2011. All these days, and we kind of think to ourselves like, could it be like that? We don't know, ultimately. We know what we have today, and no one storm system is similar to the next. Every single one is different. So we just have to take the moment, be prepared. Sound minds, calm minds make sound decisions. So again, take the minute to calm down, and then we'll move from here. And hopefully, I don't see you for a couple of days outside of me doing the television in the morning. Okay, that's all I hope for. I hope I don't see you much more than what we have to do on television from 4:30 to 7 o'clock every morning. But we're prepared to be here for the long haul, because it is going to be more than likely a long duration event over the course of not just 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 days.
First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis, thanks so much for stopping by the digital desk. We'll be back in the next 60 seconds. See you then. The time now is 9:31. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Taylor Tucker in for Andrew Douglas. It's time to hop into some of those live interviews. A lot of great things happening in the 901, especially at the Memphis Botanic Garden. They have some pretty exciting things coming up on these a few Saturdays of this month. They have the Troll Stroll, and joining me to tell us all about it is Patty Berry. She's the Family Programming Coordinator at the Memphis Botanic Garden. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you today on this windy day?
So windy, and you're outside as well, so I won't keep you out there too long, but let's just hop into it. Tell me, the Troll Stroll, what is this?
Well, first of all, our trolls are visiting us from Denmark, and they are visiting us until the end of May. And each Saturday, we will have a feature troll with a kids craft. Adults can join too. And the first Saturday we have is April 12th. One of our trolls, Rosa Soulfinger, she will be planting seeds of peace. And we'll have food trucks here, cookies and cream will be here. The other trolls will also still be here to be seen, and there'll be other activities at those trolls also. And April 19th, Sophus Lotus will be our featured troll. And Sophus loves the sounds of nature, like the wind behind me right now.
Right.
With Sophus, we'll be doing some nature journaling, be quiet in nature, draw pictures, write a poem. And the food trucks that day will be Hot and Heavy and Mr. Softy. The following Saturday, April 26th, Ippy Pip is another stroll, and you will be, she loves nature also, loves all animals, and you'll be making binoculars with Ippy Pip and learning how to use the binoculars. That food truck that day will be Mexico in Memphis. Then on May 3rd, we got these trolls still here. For 3 more weeks after that, we will be painting with my friend who's behind me. This is Basse Bueller, and he is a wild child. He sees beauty in nature. He can decorate rocks and move them around to make a beautiful design, or flower petals. But that day, we will be doing painting on rocks with Basse Bueller. And food truck that day will be Cookies and Cream again, and Ellen K. Then on May 10th, Comic-Con. Comic-Con loves to use our Eternity materials to make jewelry. And on that day, we will be making bead bracelets out of paper. At food trucks that day will be Rockin' Rodney and Hot and Heavy. May 17th, we'll have Ranja Redeye, and she is our troll who is small but mighty. And she says that you need to speak up if you see somebody doing something wrong. The trolls have their own language that are a bunch of symbols. And on that day, you can decorate and write your name on a flag or a bookmark. Hello, we have a little visitor coming to see Basse right beside me. And on that day, we'll have our food truck will be Rockin' Rodney and Mr. Softy. And that after that, our trolls will have to head back to visit other people around the world.
Oh, wow. Well, at least we have so much time to stop by and visit our friendly trolls there. So tell me this. So you're basically saying that each Saturday you can really walk away with something different. So you don't have to just pick one Saturday. You can come multiple Saturdays to continue learning about the different trolls and what they mean for our environment, right?
That's absolutely true. We will have one featured troll, but all the other trolls will have some activities too. So if you don't want to walk all the way out to visit my friend Basse behind me, you can walk around to the trolls that are closer to the building. But they will all be here ready to be loved on.
Great. And also the great thing about this, it's something for everyone. It's a family event, right? Like you can bring the kids, adults can come, everyone, right?
Yes. If you don't want to eat at the food truck, you can have a picnic. You can just walk around. The flowers are blooming. It's beautiful out.
We love family events. So let's get people there. Where can they go? Do they need tickets? Where can they find those tickets? Walk us through that information.
You can just buy tickets at the door. $12
All right, that's easy.
$12 for seniors and $7 for kids, 12 and under.
All right, that's easy. Well, before we let you go, is there a website? Where can people go to learn additional information? I don't want to keep you outside too long. So where can they get any information that they're looking for outside of this interview?
Our website is memc.org, and all our dates are on there also. We're also having a Fest, which might be this Saturday or Sunday, depending on the weather. If not, it will be moved till May the 3rd, and all our trolls will be featured, and all our we'll have vendors here and food trucks also. So lots of stuff going on between the months of April and May at the garden.
I love to hear that. Again, that's Patty Berry telling us all about Troll Stroll Saturdays. I definitely have to put it on my calendar to stop by. Plenty of opportunities from April 12th until May 17th. So go ahead and get your ticket. Patty, thanks so much for stopping by the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Forward to seeing you. Thank you so much.
All right, I see ya. Taking you guys outside this morning, another look at your Bridge. We got more Action News 5 Digital Desk coming up in the next 60 seconds. We'll see you then.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I want to show you this. This is some video of the latest NBC legal drama. It's called Suits LA. It premiered on February 23rd. It is on Sunday nights right here on Action News 5 and NBC. And I'm joined by one of the stars of the show, Brian Greenberg, on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Brian, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So tell me about Suits LA. A lot of people remember Suits with Meghan Markle and a host of other characters. Tell me how this one is different, how it's similar, and and how it's going so far.
Yeah, it's going great. It's similar in the sense of it's the same DNA of the original show. It's got the same writers, same directors, even the same wardrobe. So it's the same sensibilities, the same kind of pace and comic wit and relationships that people loved in the first one. But this one's different because it's a whole new cast of characters. It's a whole new town. It's a whole new setting of Los Angeles and Hollywood. So that's a different set of stakes. And I'm having a lot of fun being a part of it, for sure.
I bet. So tell me how this season has gone so far in terms of the premiere that happened last month and where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going great. I mean, fans keep tuning in. I think there's definitely an adjustment period that takes place because, you know, Suits was the #1 show on streaming last year. And so there's a lot of expectations, there's a lot of pressure. And I think the fans, you know, they're not sure, like, is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? So it's called Suits LA. That's fair to compare them. But I think people are understanding now, the audience is starting to understand that, oh, this is a different show. It's got different rhythms, different characters. And they're sort of appreciating us for who we are and not just comparing us, which is great.
So, Brian, for those of us who, and we have thousands of people who watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk that haven't perhaps seen Suits or Suits LA, give us a brief description.
Well, it's like the show Suits, but in LA. That's as brief as it gets. No, it's fun. It's like it's mostly characters in their relationships and quick, witty banter. And there's procedural elements, so there's cases that they're trying to solve. But really, it's like a light, fun show. And there is also drama and romance. So it's got kind of everything for everyone. And I think that's probably why it was such a hit on streaming.
So can you give us just kind of a tease of what to expect going forward here? We've been through it a couple weeks. It premiered last month. Give us something.
Next week, I'll give you something. Next week, we got Harvey Specter coming back. So Gabriel Macht, who was the lead in the original, he's coming back to play in our sandbox for a couple episodes. And I think that is going to be so great for the fans to watch. And we also have some other characters from the original, like Rick Hoffman, who played Louis Litt. He's coming back, and there's many more. And we get the cool thing about this show is we get a bunch of cameos of actors playing themselves. Like last week, we had Brian Baumgartner from The Office, Patton Oswalt. Next week we get Enrico Colantoni. So that, for me as an actor, is really fun because I get to play with all these great actors coming through.
It sounds fantastic. Brian Greenberg joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the success, and we wish you much success in the future.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you.
All right, switching gears now, taking you outside. We have a traffic alert for you on the interstate system. This is in Arkansas, just south of Turl there. This is mile marker 17. Those of you traveling in that southbound direction, heavy delays due to an accident. You can see traffic is being diverted off the interstate system onto exit 17. That's onto Clarkdale Road, if you're familiar with that area. Again, this is in that southbound direction. So coming from Turl, maybe you're headed inbound into the city of Memphis. You can see that traffic, or I could say, was being diverted off the interstate system. Just now, I believe we have another update for you. They might be letting those cars travel through, continue through there, or are they still diverting them? Yeah, from this angle, it seems as if they might be still diverting them off the interstate system on the Clarkdale Road. That's that southbound direction. So that's exit 17. Heavy delays there for you. So if that's a part of your morning commute, that's something to be on the lookout for. I'd likely avoid that area if I could until we get that area cleared up for you. Again, this is on I-55, the southbound direction just south of Turl. You will be diverted off onto exit 17 near Clarkdale Road. When we get an update on this accident and when things open up for you, we will bring you that update right here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. The time now is 9:43. We'll be back in the next 60 seconds.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Women make up nearly half of the U.S. workforce, yet they only have about 28% of the computer and mathematical occupations. Only 35% of STEM employees in the U.S. are women. So why is there such a disparity there? Let's bring in a couple of women to talk more about this issue. I'm joined by Dr. LaQuata Sumner and Scarlett Howry. Dr. Sumner is an experienced teacher, children's author, and STEAM philanthropist who leads drone and engineering camps throughout the country. And Scarlett Howry is the Vice President of Public Workforce Solutions at DeVry University. Ladies, good morning to you. Let me ask you both this. Why aren't more women in STEAM?
Well, we can see that we are making strides. Women are making strides in the STEAM field, but we can also see from the data that it highlights that we still have some challenges. As an educational institution who is committed to closing those skills gaps and fostering continuous learning, I see firsthand how hands-on learning and real-world problem solving can help that problem. And even programs like our program, Her World, which allows us to introduce STEM activities to middle school girls. And then our program, the Women in Scholars program, which provides resources and tools to women who are starting out in the tech field, which are valuable resources to them.
Scarlett, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I feel extremely, it's very similar to
Dr. Sumner here. You know, it's important for us to make sure that we provide resources to our learners so that they can experience STEM in a meaningful way where they're able to do those types of hands-on activities that will allow for them to just see themselves in STEM and therefore be able to choose that as a potential occupation for them.
So let's talk in 5 to 10 years. I mean, what kind of career opportunities will be available when it comes to STEM type jobs?
Yeah, AI, high volume data analytics. They're changing the way that we work and we learn. We're seeing positions that are being eliminated and other positions that are changing in ways we just wouldn't have thought of 3 to 5 years ago. That's why upskilling and reskilling is not just a nice to have, it's essential. Degrees will still be important, but it's just not the only pathway to gaining the skills you need in this new digital environment. We need to make sure that educational institutions create pathways for learners that are upskilling and reskilling in a particular part of their life, and other learners who are new to the workforce. All of them need to have access to education. At DeVry, for instance, we do infuse AI into our courses. We want to teach the concepts behind AI so that learners understand how and what AI can do for them. But we also want to infuse it into our undergraduate and our graduate courses so learners also understand context around how to use AI. Hopefully, they walk away with AI fluency that they can then use in their careers.
Yeah, AI seems to be everywhere, certainly. It seems like that's the buzzword these days. What about middle school and high school, Dr. Sumner? What's being done there to inspire that next generation in STEAM?
Well, it's definitely important that we introduce them at a young age because we build their curiosity and also build their confidence. We see that a lot of women don't go into the STEM and STEAM field because they lack role models. So programs like Her World, we're not only introducing them to STEM and STEAM activities where they can get their hands on the activities, but we're introducing them to role models so that they can see themselves in the space. They can see someone who looks like them, and that builds their confidence to say that they too can be in that space and they can succeed in the STEM field as well.
Okay, well, LaQuanta Sumner and Scarlett Howery, appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. One of our favorite interviews is always about food, and what better interview to have than to talk to a food reporter and the best in the business, Daily Memphian's food reporter, Jennifer Chandler, joining us on the digital desk. Jennifer, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great today. I'm loving it. Feels like spring. And last night I went outside at like 6:30 and the sun was still out. It's great.
Oh, so great. I love spring being in the air finally. So I understand that there are some Memphis staples when it comes to restaurants that people will know about that have some changes as we change seasons into spring next week officially. We got some changes going on in these staples, right?
Yeah, definitely. Spring fever is hitting the restaurant industry here in Memphis. And a lot of changes have been announced in the past week or two from some restaurants that have been around for a very long time that people love. I think I'm going to start with one that has been a topic that has been on so many people's mind, which is what is happening to the building where Houston's was. As we all know, there was a big outcry when Houston suddenly closed their doors in December. So many people had so many memories of meals there over the years. Over the years, actually, there's been a lot of controversy there when they took the chicken tenders off the menu and things like that. So I reported about a week ago that a new restaurant will be going in that building if all goes as well. Fingers crossed. The sale is still in progress. But according to some documents that I found filed, Spell Restaurant Group has made an offer to purchase that building. And Spell Restaurant Group is owned by Rick Spell and his daughter, Christy Spell Terry. And you may not know the name Spell Restaurant Group, but I'm sure many Memphians know their restaurants. They own Brookhaven Pub, which is very bustling at all times, especially on a game day. They also own the Babalu chain of Tex-Mex restaurants. And then they have a handful of restaurants that they own down in the Florida Panhandle, kind of in the 30A Panama City Beach area. Places like Edwards and George's, places like that people have been going to for years, who vacation down there. So I'm very, very excited to see that something's going to be happening there, because I was fearful that that building would sit empty for a long time. And it's such a primo spot in East Memphis, right there on the corner of Poplar and Mendenhall. I called Rick and I asked Rick if he could tell me what was doing, and he said he could not give me any comment. So I'm very, very curious to know, will it be something like one of their other concepts somewhere? So I'm not sure what he's going to be doing. He did say he would let us know as soon as the deal was finalized. But I'm guessing, knowing what's there, I'm hoping it's an American restaurant. I think he has to find a way to get that chicken tenders recipe and put it on the menu. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I remember hearing something about it, and once I heard Brookhaven Pub, and I thought, okay, that makes sense. Right around the corner, and my kids and I frequented Brookhaven Pub all the time, so it makes a natural fit, I think.
I think so too. I mean, the Spells are very good restaurant operators, and they're committed to Memphis, and they're local to Memphis. And for me personally, I'm excited to see a Memphis company going into that building versus someone that's from elsewhere. So I think that they'll be more engaged in our community, and hopefully won't ever just close and walk out the door one morning.
Agreed.
Okay, next on my list is a story that I actually reported last night that it makes me sad in some ways, but it's one of those stories that it's part sad and then part also positive. So Amy and Hayes McPherson opened Comeback Coffee in 2019 downtown in the Pinch District, and I remember interviewing this couple when they first opened. They bought this building that was I think it was built in 1895, and completely redid it, doing a coffee shop in the back and the bottom. There's a beautiful courtyard in the back. They actually renovated upstairs, and they turned it into an apartment that they lived in. And they had hopes of being one of the first things to kind of revitalize this neighborhood that had once been really, really bustling. And then when the Pyramid closed as a venue, the neighborhood kind of stores and shops started to close, and there's not a lot open down there, but there's some really cool historic buildings. And of course they open, and then the pandemic hit. And over the years, they've been struggling, and they've been, there are only a handful of things that are open down in that neighborhood. Jake's Place is there, Alcinia's, maybe one or two other places, but for the most part, it's empty buildings all around them. But they kept thriving, and they were a destination coffee shop. They had great coffee. They originally started importing coffee from small roasters, and then they decided to get into the roasting game themselves. And in 2023, they bought the building. I don't think it's right next door. It may be two down, and transformed it into their factory for it to be a roastery for them for coffee beans, so that they do their own signature coffee beans. And then they also, along the way, they started doing coffee sodas, which is something I had never heard of before they started doing it. But it's basically a version, a carbonated version is how I like to describe it, of an iced coffee. They probably hate that description because it is so much more and has so many more nuances. But if you haven't had a coffee soda, now that the weather's warming up, they're so refreshing and really interesting. So they, for the past 2 years, have been operating and growing their business out of that. So they're closing their coffee shop on, I believe it's April 11th. Double check the date in my story. They're going to focus on growing their business for roasting coffee beans and their coffee sodas, which they've started distribution nationwide already for both of those products. So they have a lot on their plate. And one of the things too, like they're doing special roasting beans they have a special blend that they're going to be doing for JoJo's Espresso, or that they do for JoJo's Espresso, which their new coffee shop should be opening in a few weeks. We'll have more about that coming. They also do Bywater coffee, which is a trailer. They do a special coffee blend for them. So they're doing really, really cool things. So while their coffee shop, which I actually love to go and work there and hang out there and get a coffee, they have great specialty coffees, is closing, we're still going to be able to get their products and probably more as they have more time to be more creative about it. Had you ever been there, Andrew?
I had never been there, but I remember you talking about it, and I remember hearing about it, and just the timing of right by the pandemic and right during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough for any restaurant, really.
Right, and especially for a neighborhood. I mean, we all know that downtown Memphis has had some struggles since 2020, and with a lot closing and a lot of people working remotely and things like that. And I think that's probably what kind of impacted their business. And I think that downtown is starting to, it's really kind of coming back, and things are starting to happen down there, but it is going to be a minute. And they were just said they hung on as long as they could, and financially they couldn't hang on any longer, waiting for that neighborhood to have, there's just not a lot of people living right around there. So it's tough. Moving on a little further out east into the Cooper Young neighborhood. This is a big one. Cafe Olay, which has been around since the 1990s, is rebranding. It actually closed this past weekend. And the owners, Kendall Robertson, who also owns Alfred's and Dyer's downtown, and Automatic Slims too. And he was the founder of Ubi's, his family was. They have a family restaurant business, and they don't have a restaurant group per se, but they own several restaurants. And he said it was just time for a refresh, that he felt that there were, I forget the number, but there were just so many Mexican restaurants within a couple of miles of this location. Whereas when Cafe Olay opened, it was probably one of the first Tex-Mex Mexican restaurants in the neighborhood. But now the market, he feels, is very, very saturated. And he feels like it was time to do something else. They're going to completely kind of give the whole building a facelift inside, paint job. They're going to put new tables, new booths. They're going to add a stage for live entertainment. He is still working on the menu, so he couldn't reveal too much about that, but he hopes to open pretty quickly. So originally he said they had hoped to open by March 17th, by St. Patrick's Day, but he thinks that was a little optimistic with all that they needed to do. But it should open sometime in the coming weeks. Still playing around with the name, what it's going to be. But one thing he did give me a hint of is that some version of one of their famous burgers will be on the menu, because, they're known for Dyer's Burgers, and Ubi's had a really good burger that when it was open there in on Highland, in that Highland kind of University of Memphis area. So I expect a good burger to be on that menu. Oh, and they also said they're keeping that great patio they have there, and they're going to be putting games on the patio. So it's going to be a different Cafe Olay, but it should be a lively, fun spot to go to if everything goes as they plan. So, and one of the things, I have another thing to share about Cafe Olay. One of the things that everyone who has asked me, one thing that menu item people have asked me about is their stuffed bacon wrapped shrimp, because that is their signature item. And Kendall did tell me that will be the one menu item that carries over from Cafe Olay into the new concept. So it should be pretty good.
That sounds great. I mean, it's probably time for a refresh, and I think people are ready for it.
Yeah, they had bought the family, the Robertson family had bought Cafe Ole, I think about 12 years ago, something like that. And they kind of did a refresh then. But, over 10 years is a long time for a restaurant. I mean, there's, restaurants, they need to be refreshed pretty often because, lots of people go through there, so, it's time. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens there, and I'll keep you posted. And the last one on my list is a market that I love down on Harbor Town called Cordia. So it's not a restaurant, but Cordia's Market it used to be Miss Cordia's, and then it became Cordia's Market. And it is just really a gem of a specialty grocery store. It's really a neighborhood grocery store, and they really focus on serving local products. I mean, you can buy everything from treats from Muddy's Bake Shop there to you can also get foods from like, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Grecian Gourmet sells some products there. I mean, there's just so many local foods that you can find there, and it's just such a gem of a place. And it was opened by Henry Turley when he was developing the neighborhood, and he named it after his, I believe it's his mother or his grandmother. And he is selling it to a longtime employee, Erica Humphreys, and her husband, Robert. And Erica had been the GM there for a very, 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 very long time. And she's great. I've worked with her over the years, as my source when I was, calling and getting information about things going on at Cordelia's. And she's really passionate about the neighborhood and the grocery store. And it can't be in better hands. And when we asked Henry Turley why he was selling it, of course, he said, I'm in my 80s. It's time to pass it along. And I can't think of anybody better to pass it along to. So expect all of the things that you love about Cordelia's Market to remain. But one of the things that the Humphreys have planned is they're going to expand the back of the market. Is kind of been over the years. It's been a deli, it's been a cafe, it's kind of done different things. But she plans to kind of open it up to a little bit more of a restaurant concept, that serving like a meat and three during the weekdays for their customers, and a little more, I guess, made from scratch products, food products, hot food products coming from there. So I'm excited to see how that kind of changes and what happens. But all of these are really positive things that are happening. As I said, spring makeover may be the theme of this segment that we're talking about right here. And I think they're all good things happening.
No, I love it. And Cordelia's is you're right. It's so unique. It's so local, hyper local. And people and neighborhoods, they love that kind of stuff because it's so rare these days,
Yeah, it's a really, really special place. I mean, I'll give a shout out to, if you've not been to High Point Grocery, which has been around,
yes,
forever and ever. And it was bought by the family that owns Cash Saver.
Rick James.
And
yep.
Rick James. And and they are really passionate. I guess he grew up going into that grocery store, and he kind of didn't, when the family that was closing, originally had it, was closing it, he swooped in and he saved it. And since then, he has opened South Point Grocery downtown. He's opening another South Point in South Haven in about a year, in the coming year, I think. But it's really these little gems of grocery stores that kind of, have everything you need and focus on local products and really feel like a neighborhood place. And you can get in and out very quickly.
And it makes you smile when you see those things still exist today. Kind of like this segment, Jennifer. You make us smile each and every time you come on the Digital Desk. Thank you so much, and we look forward to reading more about your articles. Tell everybody where we can read your stuff.
Oh, yes. All my stuff is available at dailymemphian.com/food, or you can click on the food section. And we have a great team of reporters working on the food scene there, kind of keeping you abreast on what's coming, what's going, and then some in-depth looks into different things going on in the industry. So please head over to dailymemphian.com and check out our stories.
All right, Jennifer Chandler joining us on the Digital Desk. Thank you so much, Jennifer. We appreciate it.
Thanks. It was great to see you.
All right, we're going to keep this food conversation going this morning. If you enjoyed that, we have so many different restaurants to talk about, but also food and drink festivals coming to the 901. And I'm bringing in my friend Jalen Suchek with the I Love Memphis blog to tell us all about the latest and greatest festivals coming in. First thing first, hello, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I've been looking forward to this interview all day. Festival season is like my favorite season, and I'm looking at this list, and there's so many to discuss. Let's just start. Let's keep it simple here. Let's talk about the Memphis Cocktail Festival. Tell me about this festival.
Yeah, so if it's not the busiest month of the year, it's definitely trying to be the busiest month of the year. We have about 12, at least 12 food and drink festivals happening in April. So Memphis Cocktail Festival is going to be one of them. It's happening this weekend, April 5th at Minglewood Hall. And this was supposed to be partially outdoors. They have moved in everything inside, so that's good news with the weather on the horizon as it is. But it's kind of what it sounds like. You're going to have the opportunity to go to a bunch of different stations and try a wide variety of cocktails that they have all mixed up and sample your favorites. You know, they're going to have international brands, some regional mixers and bartenders, and some local bar artisans, because the people who are making cocktails in Memphis are extremely talented. So this would be a great opportunity to try some fun new ones and maybe expand your palate. If you're like me, I will always go to the same cocktail when I order. So this is a great option to try something new.
Same cocktail, same bar. So this is something great to check out. But also what I really love about this month is that there's a festival, really something for everyone. Like, okay, you don't drink, you don't want to go to a cocktail festival. Well, there is a food festival, or I think there's even like a taco festival. What are some of the other festivals that you're seeing?
Yeah, so what's great about this month, as you mentioned, there is literally something for everyone. There's things that are more family friendly, more adult only, like the Tacos and Tequilas Festival. So that is combining two of, your favorite things for a lot of people. So that's going to be on April 12th. And that's really fun because they're going to have a bunch of different variety of tacos trucks that you can eat at. They'll have 5 bar stations set up. They are giving hourly free shots of tequila, so you really gotta like tequila if you're going to this event. They'll have live entertainment and $5 shot deals as well. So that is if you are a taco tequila fan, that's where to go.
Okay, let me kind of get off of that then. Let's talk about a hot wing contest. I mean, it's Memphis, so we have to talk about whether it's barbecue or hot wings. I know that's something that will definitely catch a lot of people's attention. What can you tell us about that festival?
Yeah, and you can touch it there too. Barbecue maybe kind of steals the show in Memphis too, but we have such an incredible hot wing culture. We have like 200 plus hot wing restaurants in the greater Memphis area. So it's kind of picture like Barbecue Fest, the barbecue competition, but hot wing version. They have a bunch of teams set up along Riverside Drive and tents, and they'll be, working to get the honors as the best hot wing team. So unlike Barbecue Fest, what's cool about this too is it's a lot easier to sample the wings. You can go up to tents and eat. And even better is that this benefits the Ronald McDonald House of Charities of Memphis. I want to say that they have raised to date over $350,000 for that organization. So does a lot of good. It's a lot of fun. I love the festivals that are able to set up right on Riverside Drive. It's just a good vibe, and the teams there are a lot of fun and engaging.
Yeah, that sounds like a win-win situation when you're supporting a good cause and you're getting some great eats. You can't really beat that. I know you mentioned that some of the festivals are on Riverside Drive. Are they kind of all across the Memphis area, or are they all kind of these festivals align on Riverside Drive?
Kind of all over. There's a lot of them are downtown. So Ragin' Cajun Crawfish Festival, that's happening April 27th. That'll be along Riverside Drive as well. The Mimosa Festival used to be at Tomley Park last year. They're actually moving into AutoZone Park, which is great to see more events happening in that space. Taste the Rarity will be more in your Broad Ave area. It's going to be a beer festival happening at Wiseacres original location. And then we have like Black Arts and Wine Festival. That's at Pink Palace. So we got a little bit of, East Memphis, Midtown, downtown variety.
I love to hear that. Well, there are several festivals to talk about. We could go on and on and on. But for those for those watching, they want to get that additional information. Can they go online somewhere so they can just kind of put these festivals on their calendar? Where can they go?
Yeah, so if you go to ilovememphisblog.com right now, it's one of our featured blogs on our homepage, so you do not have to search for it. And it's actually our food and drink festival guide for the whole year. So it's not just going to give you the 12 options happening in April, but you can plan out the rest of your year because these calendars are about to be full.
That's Jalen Suchek with the I Love Memphis blog. Thanks so much for stopping by the Action News 5 digital desk, and looking forward to chatting with you again.
Thanks. Happy eating and
All right.
drinking.
I'll see you. All right, guys, stay with us. We have more Digital Desk coming up in the next 60 seconds. I meant to tell you, I made video for that interview. All right, taking you back outside this morning, another traffic alert for you. We are still staying on top of this accident along I-55 in Arkansas, just south of Terrell there. Those of you approaching mile marker 17, if you're familiar with that, that gets you on the Clarkdale Road. That's where traffic is being diverted off the interstate system. Again, this is all due to an accident that we've been following this morning. I got some extra video here so you can see what it looks like here. Of course, you can see many of those cars are moving slowly throughout that direction, trying to navigate their way through it. Just check out this video that we have. Really kind of hard to see there. Maybe it might be dust in the air. The visibility just wasn't the best. And so now what we can expect, this is what you're seeing now, traffic being diverted off the interstate system. So no ETA on when this will clear. Is impacting all of those southbound lanes there on I-55 as you're approaching mile marker 17. That's Clarkdale Road. When we get that all clear, we will let you know, but you can see emergency crews, they are still out there diverting you off the interstate system. Again, this is I-55 as you're approaching mile marker 17, that southbound direction near Clarkdale Road. So plan ahead if that's a part of your early morning drive.
We want to make sure you're staying weather aware. Crews are on standby in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Crittenden County, Tipton County, all counties across the Mid-South. And matter of fact, one thing you'll see on the roads is our First Alert Storm Tracker. Let me show you one tool that you'll see us using for the next several days. This is our 360-degree camera that we'll be using to monitor damages and also track power outages that are happening all across the Mid-South. So another way to stay weather aware and informed, download our First Alert weather app to make sure you're staying weather aware. Reporting in downtown Memphis, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Wednesday morning. A very active couple of days expected across the Mid-South. As you know already, we've been giving you that first alert that there will be a couple of days here, kind of a gauntlet of storms that we will have to tangle with over the course of not one, not two, not even three, but 4 days across the Mid-South. And it starts later on today. Today is an odd day. This will be an interesting day for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to have the severe weather potential. Today, also a high risk for severe weather will unfold this afternoon and this evening. But then we'll transition into a flooding threat over the course of the evening and overnight period. And that could lead up to a high risk of flooding in about the same area that is going to be encompassed by the high risk. 84 today, a south breeze, 25 to 30 miles per hour sustained. Gusts will be higher than that. Look at the gusts here in the city of Memphis. Some spots will be over 50 miles per hour today, but again, gusts over 40 miles per hour for many hours this afternoon, especially ahead of the storm system. Then tonight, 64. Storms will be severe during the early evening hours, I think through at least midnight, but possibly through 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then a flood threat will emerge through the morning hours of your Thursday. 64, still that southwest wind, 20 to 25. Then tomorrow, 70, a high temperature, mostly cloudy. Flood threat will be the main thing to contend with throughout the morning hours, but then there's another risk for strong and severe storms through the afternoon hours. This is not a one-size-fits-all forecast either. Understand that if you live in West Tennessee and northeastern Arkansas, the impacts of flooding may be higher than in areas like northeastern Mississippi. I think in northeastern Mississippi, you get away almost scot-free with this, with the exception of a couple of storms today and more storms on Saturday. But the rest of the area, I think it's high time for all of us. You see the areas in white here, that's over 10 inches of rainfall possible through Sunday. And this is the gauntlet that I'm talking about. Extreme risk for afternoon storms that could be strong to severe, then lead into the flood threat. Flood threat continues through the morning hours on Thursday as the frontal boundary wavers near the I-40 corridor. Storms could flare up. Again, another impulse will come down that frontal boundary, and each time one of those impulses comes down the frontal boundary, it will perk up the severe weather potential. That may happen as we head towards your Thursday afternoon. So another round of strong storms possible through late Thursday. Friday, the front lifts northward, but not before it dumps a lot of rainfall overnight Thursday into early Friday morning. But at least the front does lift northward into northeastern Arkansas and southern Missouri. So we have a little bit of a reprieve. And then we do it all over again on Saturday as the storm system exits through Sunday. Take a look at the first alert futurecast. And again, the model has been almost dead on the last couple of days. Strong flow off the Gulf, strong storms trying to develop after 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Line of storms developing out to the west of us, and that will be trekking eastward. But any storms that are able to flare up in this environment have the potential to become strong to severe quickly. So take heed to the warnings. When they are issued today, take heed to the warnings. Take the time now before you head out the door. Get the kids' mindset right. I know they want to come home after school. If they get an early dismissal, they want to sit down, play some Fortnite, listen to some music, and enjoy themselves. They need to be in the mindset today that if warnings are issued, they hear those sirens going off, that they need to get to where they need to be safe, especially in those situations where students are at home by themselves in that interim between the early dismissal time, which we do expect more districts may opt to do, and the time that parents are able to get home. So again, give them that heads up now of what they need to do in that instance. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, storms start to roll eastward. By 7, we're talking about an active period. I think by around sunset, all of the ingredients will basically be sitting on top of the coverage area to allow for any one of these storms to become severe that could feature damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. And unfortunately, today is the type of day that these storms will be able to sustain themselves for quite some time. So any storms that are able to develop could very well have storm impacts that may be long-lasting. I want you to turn your attention to northeastern Mississippi. The reason why I say that not everybody will see the same impacts is because this system will fall down towards the south and then stall right along I-40. And notice places like Corinth and Ripley, Mississippi, there's